Chapter 955. Su Yin slapped his thigh. Was there even a need to say anything? Even if he had to sell everything he had, he would buy it. It was something that had attracted the attention of the prehistoric Big Brother. It was a work of the gods. This battle puppet attracted the attention of many powerhouses. First of all, its aura was ancient enough that it was difficult to estimate the age of its origin. This puppet's bronze body was suffused with terrifying beams of light, exuding a heavy pressure. It had the heaviness of metal and also the divinity and demonic energy of a living being. In short, it was extremely astonishing. This puppet was tall and large. Its ancient body shimmered with strange metallic patterns, but no clues could be seen. It was unknown where this ancient object had been unearthed, but a divine king whispered, looking at the strength of this puppet, it should be at the divine king realm. But why would such a treasure be placed in this segment of the auction? Everyone knew that the final item was about to be auctioned off. Then, the treasures being auctioned off at this stage were all rare and precious treasures. It was clear that this puppet didn't have the qualifications to be placed in this segment. Although the aura released by the puppet had energy fluctuations at the level of the Divine King, anyone with a discerning eye could see that the puppet was damaged and that it wasn't a complete battle puppet. Su Yin believed that this wasn't the original appearance of the puppet. It was so mysterious that even the appraisal grandmasters of the Great Dao Auction House had noticed it. Just from the prehistoric Big Brother's words of a work of the gods, one could see how complex and profound the forging process of this puppet was. Of course, the appraisal grandmasters of the Universe Stone Auction House had also made a mistake in their judgment. But this was different. Universe Stone was a rare material that was second only to supreme treasures. Wanting to see through the universe hidden within Universe Stone was far too difficult. But this puppet was different. The prehistoric Big Brother had probably seen through the puppet's origins with a single glance. And at this time, a young woman walked up from the auction stage. From her aura, she should be in the domain of the Great Dao realm. But what this woman did next left many young people stunned. First, she walked in front of the puppet and did something astonishing. She directly crashed into the puppet. The humanoid puppet seemed to be real and illusory. The woman crashed into the puppet and fused together. This scene was shocking, causing a great commotion throughout the entire venue. This was because the woman's aura had changed. In that instant, an ancient and terrifying demonic aura was released. She transformed into a tall divine king powerhouse, releasing vast fluctuations of the divine king. Every movement of the woman made was filled with the aura of the divine king, suppressing all life. Heavens, the great Tao to divine kings. This woman had the divine king's aura to fuse. I must buy it. 2. B. If they could buy it and even decipher its mysteries, it would be the same as grasping a great treasure. Fellow Taoists, the origin of this battle puppet is untraceable. King Kampa laughed loudly. I've confirmed that as long as you fuse with it, you'll have the strength of the Divine King. Although there are some flaws, you'll indeed have the strength of the Divine King. Moreover, if you can research its forging process, it'll be a great event that will shake the universe. Although that was what he said, how could a forging process be so easily researched? But in any case, the experts present attached great importance to it. The youngsters in particular were eager to make a move. Possessing the strength of the divine king ahead of time was a fatal attraction to them. 5,000 gene of primal chaos material. A voice exploded, spreading throughout the entire venue and causing a commotion. The one who spoke was Sheng Tianzhan. He possessed the indestructible body. If he could obtain the battle puppet, it would greatly increase his combat strength. Even if the immortal graveyard opened ahead of time, he would still have the strength to contend. 15,000 gene. Another overlord of the younger generation stood out, his aura iron-blooded and domineering. The Iron Blood King spoke, his tone faintly revealing his determination to obtain it. Su Yan's face sank, feeling the pressure. This item would inevitably cause a struggle between all parties, but the value of the battle puppet would not be limited to its present state. It would certainly have astonishing abilities that had yet to be revealed. He even felt that since the prehistoric Big Brother had spoken, the value of this item would certainly surpass the final item. Then its value would be immeasurable. It would easily be measured in units of 100,000 gene, or even over 1,000,000 gene. It was truly a bit frightening. 20,000 gene of primal chaos material. Zhu Yongjia stood out. He was a peerless genius of the sky bamboo lineage, and was even a descendant of Zhu Yuanqing. He, Zhu Yongjia, grasped the astonishing resources of the sky bamboo lineage and directly shouted out a sky-high price of 20,000 gene of primal chaos material. Crazy. These young experts have really gone crazy. The immortal graveyard is about to open, but the sagely battle god and the others don't have enough battle strength. If the immortal graveyard really opens in these few years, just think about it, and you'll know the value of the battle puppet. Moreover, the experts of their clans will surely do everything possible to repair the battle puppet to a flawless state. That's right, the price of this puppet will likely be ridiculously expensive. It's very likely that it will exceed 50,000 gene of primal chaos material. This speculation gained the approval of many people. Immediately after, a young overlord of the demonic Tao spoke. The northern demonic beast suddenly stood up, his divine might overflowing as he once again raised the price. 30,000 gene of primal chaos material. Sun Dome also stood up, towering in the midst of the gold. He bathed in the divine splendor of the 9 heavens, his divine might awe-inspiring. My goodness, the leading figures of these peak clans are truly crazy. With their qualifications, it's definitely not difficult for them to use primal chaos material below 50,000 gene. Moreover, this matter is of great importance. They're all a group of princes who possess shocking wealth. We can't afford to compete with them at all. It seems like this item will fall into the hands of the young overlords. Let's see who's willing to throw out a huge sum of money. The entire auction was in an uproar. Su Yan's face darkened. He didn't expect that this item would attract so much attention. The price had soared to 40,000 gene of primal chaos material. 50,000 gene of primal chaos material. Su Yan's words were shocking, causing everyone to tremble in fear. This was the most valuable treasure since the start of the auction. Moreover, before this, Su Yan had also spent a huge sum of money to purchase a resurrection pill. The atmosphere in the auction was stifling because the price was too outrageous. Sun Dome and the others' expressions were uncertain as they continued to raise the price. Was it worth it or not? After all, 50,000 gene of primal chaos material was truly a frightening price. Even if they could continue to raise the price, but they still had to weigh the gains and losses. Su Yan was also a little nervous. If someone continued to raise the price, he would definitely chase after them. It might even be difficult to guarantee that. Some experts had seen the clues of the battle puppet. If the price continued to soar, it might attract the attention of others. After all, this auction was overseen by a mighty figure. This old man will also raise the price. Suddenly, the old grandmaster of the Han family stood up and said in a relatively calm tone, 60,000 gene of primal chaos material. This old man. Su Yan's face darkened. This old thing might have wanted to stop him for a long time. Now that he had jumped out, the timing was really good. Su Yan was indeed determined to obtain the battle puppet. I like to see how much he's worth. Han Weiron's expression was cold. She wore a long red dress, and her face was cold and noble. She looked down at Su Yan's private room and said, "A brat called Su Yan. I like to see how great his background is." The old grandmaster of the Han family also smiled coldly. He didn't expect that the young man in the private room was the old wine drinker, the mysterious man called Su Yan. In fact, this person had helped Bamboo Moon before. He was very clear about the relationship between Bamboo Moon and Su Yan. The Heavenly Momentum chapter was given to Su Yan by Bamboo Moon. The two had such a close relationship, so he might really be Su Yan. Otherwise, why would he spend more than 10,000 gene of primal chaos material to win the Star Moon fruit for Bamboo Moon. If it's really him, this old man will definitely make him suffer. The old Grandmaster of the Han family took a deep breath. He also wanted to obtain the battle puppet. The Han family was the founder of the occult sect. The old Grandmaster of the Han family also wanted to study the forging process of the battle puppet. 70,000 gene of primal chaos material. Su Yan's voice was loud and clear. It was simple and direct, pushing the atmosphere of the audience to the peak. Many old monsters frowned and kept looking at the battle puppet. The price was too outrageous. The two of them couldn't spend such a huge amount of money just for battle chi, right? After all, this price was also a terrifying amount of wealth for the Peak clans. It seems like fellow Taoist is determined to get the battle puppet. The old Grandmaster of the Han family said with a smile, "Fellow Taoist wealth is really astonishing. Little friend, if you want it, then increase the price." "Why are you talking nonsense?" Su Yan coldly snorted. This sentence made the old Grandmaster of the Han family turn green. Han Weiran even felt her liver and stomach ache. Before, Su Yan had called her little brother, and now he called the old Grandmaster of the Han family little friend. Those who didn't know would think that Su Yan was a living fossil that had lived through the epoch of the universe. "You really have a lot of courage." The old Grandmaster of the Han family's face was gloomy to the extreme. He coldly shouted, "Since you don't want to give it up, I don't want to give it up either. In order to avoid hurting our friendship, I think I'll increase the price and buy it. After the auction is over, you and I will have a bet to decide who gets the battle puppet. How about it?" "What do you want to bet on?" Su Yan curiously asked. "You can bet whatever you want, but the wager is the battle puppet. The loser will have to pay the auction price of the battle puppet." The old Grandmaster of the Han family said coldly, "The battle puppet is only the wager." "You sure talk big." Su Yan angrily laughed. "Then why don't we just bet our lives?" The audience was in an uproar. Betting our lives? Was this a battle of life and death? "You sure talk big." "Betting your life, hee hee." The old Grandmaster of the Han family laughed sinisterly. "You can bet whatever you want. My Han family will definitely accompany you to the end. How much is your life worth?" Su Yan sneered. "How about this? I'll buy the battle puppet with more money, and your Han family will take out the Heavenly Force chapter to bet with me. How about that?" The old Grandmaster of the Han family clenched his fists. He was almost certain that this person was Su Yan, asking for the Heavenly Force chapter as soon as he opened his mouth. "The battle puppet and my family's Heavenly Force chapter?" The old Grandmaster of the Han family calmed himself down and shouted, "I think you're thinking too much. If you really lose, leave your life and the battle puppet behind. This way, my family can bet with you. What do you think? You want my life? Haha, what a good Han family. Why would I be afraid of you? Let's bet then. You can choose the location." Su Yan coldly shouted. This was exactly what he wanted. He was not afraid of anyone in the same generation. So what if he was at the peak of the heavenly god realm? Su Yan was not afraid at all. In short, once things got out of hand, the Han family would definitely make a move on Su Yan. At that time, how could his big brother stand by and watch? The audience was in an uproar. How did it turn into a bet? Who was this mysterious person? The old Grandmaster of the Han family clearly wanted to kill him. But Su Yan wanted to tear the whole Han family into pieces. With his big brother by his side, what was there to be afraid of? Added a chapter today. I owe everyone 20 chapters for the new year. Now there are 19 chapters left. I'll try to finish them within a month. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 956. The Han family's old master wasn't surprised by Su Yan's confidence. He knew that people like Su Yan had the belief that he was invincible in his generation and wouldn't back down just because of a battle. People like them had long cultivated the confidence to sweep through all their peers. Although the Han family's old master wasn't sure whether or not this person was Su Yan. However, when Han Weiran stood up, it also meant that Xiao Ming stood up. If the other party really had a great background, if the person had a strong background, Xiao Ming's identity would be able to handle it. However, if they won the bet and the other party was really Su Yan, then their Han family would obtain the terrain chapter that they had always dreamed of. This would be enough to change the fate of the entire Han family and the future development of the entire Han family. Anyways, the Han family wanted to immediately start this battle, and Su Yin couldn't wait to start it too. Very good, the Han family's old master said coldly. But we agreed that only you can go up. My family naturally won't bully the weak. My family's Han Weiran will go up and fight you. The Han family's old master couldn't help but give off a terrifying aura. Everyone only knew that the Han family had a master, but they didn't know how strong Han Weiran was. How could a woman who had such a close relationship with Qiuming be a flower vase? Furthermore, Han Weiran had been by Qiuming's side for many years and had received much of Qiuming's true teachings. Also, Han Weiran was a peak Heaven God Realm expert. How could she lose to a cultivator who had just entered the Heaven God Realm? Anyways, the Han family had absolute confidence in Han Weiran's attack. Jie. Han Weiran's gloomy and cold eyes stared at Su Yan's private room. She really didn't believe that this brat was so strong that he could block her attacks. She, Han Weiran, had already begun to accumulate the foundation of the Divine King realm. Even if he was really Su Yan, Han Weiran still had the confidence to kill him. Everyone present was stunned. Things were progressing too quickly, and many people had yet to react. Someone asked suspiciously, "Is the Han family crazy? Take out the Heavenly Momentum chapter and bet with an unknown person? Just Han Weiran alone is not enough to make the Han family do such a crazy thing. There must be some other special reason, or the Han family must have figured out the identity of this person. When the time comes, the battle will definitely be exciting enough. I will definitely go and watch." All of the cultivators present began to discuss spiritedly. After all, the stakes were a bit too high. An absurdly valuable battle puppet and the Han family's heavenly chapter. This was a heaven-shaking gamble, and it was even a gamble of one's life. To Su Yin, the battle puppet was a must-have, and he couldn't afford the slightest mistake. Even if he had to pay a certain price, he had to obtain it. Of course, the price was particularly frightening, given that it was 70,000 kilograms of primordial chaos material. Su Yin had to pay a sufficient amount of wealth before he could take the combat puppet away from the Grand Avenue auction house. Name a place. Su Yin's tone was cold. With Big Brother Prehistoric by his side, what was there to be afraid of? No matter how big the matter was, Big Brother Prehistoric was here to hold the fort. In 10 days, the location will be at the city of the Grand Avenue. The Han family's old Grandmaster became more and more confident. He said coldly, "When the Grand Avenue battle platform is activated, I will have to trouble the experts of the Taoist Temple to supervise and ensure fairness." Some of the older experts were speechless. Once the Grand Avenue battle platform was activated, no one would dare to disturb it. Was the Han family so confident? Were they really confident that they could take down the mysterious man? King Kampa was dumbfounded. He wanted to say, "Old Grandmaster of the Han family, have you figured out the situation? Have you investigated Su Yan's background? Are you going to bet with him just like that?" He even wanted to activate the Grand Avenue battle platform. Su Yan had a powerful expert by his side. Although the Han family was frightening and had a shocking background, they didn't have any powerful experts at all. Of course, there were no less than 2 or 3 half-almighties in the clan. In addition, the clan was proficient in secret techniques. Overall, they weren't afraid of powerful experts. King Kampa wanted to say, "If the Han family really wins, they will have angered a powerful expert. Is this a good deal? Since you have agreed, the Taoist Temple can send experts to supervise." King Kampa said helplessly, "In 10 days on the Grand Avenue battle platform, both of you should prepare the items for the bet." Ha ha ha. In 10 days, the Tianshi chapter will be brought to the city of the Grand Avenue. Don't worry about that. The Han family's old Grandmaster laughed. He looked as if he had Su Yin in the bag. He was more and more certain that his guess was correct. Okay, the human-shaped puppet will also be brought to the Grand Avenue battle platform as promised. Su Yin snorted coldly. Many gazes were fixed on the box where Su Yin was. In 10 days, they would know who this person was. Such an astonishingly wealthy expert was definitely not someone to be trifled with. However, Han Weiran was also close to Qiuming. In that case, in 10 days, the city of the Grand Avenue would be especially lively. There would be many experts coming to watch the battle. Okay, let's move on to the next round of bidding. King Kampa said in a serious tone, "We have prepared several treasures. They are all rare items to be auctioned. Everyone get ready." From this moment on, everyone in the field watched with wide eyes. The bidding for the suppressed items was about to begin. It was said that there were 3 items for the finale. They knew about the celestial tree, but they didn't know what the other 2 treasures were. A terrifying aura burst out from the silent auction hall all of a sudden. What extravagance! Su Yin was shocked. It was a battle suit that carried a terrifying aura. It was as if wearing the battle suit could transform into an invincible king. Moreover, the entire battle suit was interwoven with mysterious heavenly marks of the Great Path. When the battle suit was slightly revived, it was as if a terrifying creature had returned from a deep slumber. It released billions of layers of light, of order, dazzling and overflowing. Battle suit of a mighty figure. Everyone present trembled. This was a battle suit of a mighty figure, and it was even a flawless one. It had also been refined by a mighty figure. This battle suit was as if the universe was pressing down on it, causing even the divine king to gasp for breath. The old experts of the various clans were shocked. No one expected that the auction would bring out a battle suit of a mighty figure for auction. This extravagance was too frightening. Every battle suit of a mighty figure was a rare item. Moreover, not all mighty figures had one. After all, the materials needed to refine a mighty figure's battle suit were extremely precious. Moreover, just refining it required a great deal of effort from a mighty figure. Its value was difficult to estimate, so it was directly auctioned without a reserve price. Mother of Asterisker, if I had a battle suit of a mighty figure, even the divine king would find it hard to touch me. Su Yin was envious. However, this item was destined to not belong to him. He couldn't afford it at all. The bidding for the battle suit had just begun. In almost an instant, the price soared to 50,000 kilograms of primal chaos material. The price even began to rise at a terrifying speed. 120,000 kilograms of primal chaos material. A peak divine king was envious. He roared at the top of his lungs. He would buy it even if he had to go bankrupt. Once he had a battle suit of a mighty figure, he would be able to venture into the dangerous areas of the primal chaos ruins. But to buy a battle suit of a mighty figure with 120,000 kilograms of primal chaos material, that was a complete fool's dream. 150,000 kilograms of primal chaos material. The price was still rising. 99% of the cultivators present were truly in despair. In such a short period of time, the price had soared to 150,000 kilograms of primal chaos material. It was truly infuriating to compare oneself to others. The number of powerful cultivators competing for the battle suit had also decreased greatly. Those who could still bid now were the wealthiest clans or peak clans. 200,000 kilograms of primal chaos material. The vice leader of the Nine Yang sect shouted a terrifying price. Although the Nine Yang sect also had battle suits of a mighty figure, no one would complain about having too many of them. In the future, when the Sun Dome would be invincible and dominate the world, the battle suit of a mighty figure would greatly reduce the danger he faced. This item was specially auctioned for the Sun Dome. They hoped that they could successfully obtain it. 210,000 kilograms of primal chaos material. The North Fey tribe also made a strong bid. For the North Fey, and for him to stand at the peak of the world in the future, they were willing to pay a heavy price. Su Yin discovered problem. The Ancestral Hall, the Sky Bamboo, the Dao Hall, and the Dark Underworld tribe. These terrifying clans were not interested in the battle suit. This meant that their clans had accumulated a shocking amount of wealth. They probably had more than a dozen great Dao divine weapons. Originally, the Sagely Battle God tribe also wanted to participate in the battle. Unfortunately, their tribe's wealth was not enough. Even the Han family gave up. This item was too valuable. Ordinary people could not afford it. 280,000 kilograms of primal chaos material. Another round of bids was made. Many people were dizzy and could not extricate themselves from the shock. When King Kampa shouted sold, they finally came back to their senses. The North Fae tribe had successfully obtained the battle suit of a mighty figure. The North Fae laughed heartily. In the future, his path to invincibility would have one more protective supreme treasure: the battle suit of a mighty figure. Damn, this North Fae is arrogant again. Brother Baokai will have a hard time killing him. Motherf Asterisk Kerr, 280,000 kilograms of primal chaos material. The North Fae tribe is really generous. They must have used the accumulated wealth of the Fae area. In a private room, a group of aggressive young men and women were discussing. They were indignant. At the same time, they looked an extremely fierce leader. Don't panic. The little blood lion looked mighty. Compared to many years ago, he had accumulated a vast source of blood essence. Behind him, there was a vague image of a golden lion looming. It was as if a part of the universe was pressing down on this place. He snorted and said, "We have been adventuring in the Forbidden Zone, experiencing life and death situations. Although I have come out early, Baokai and the other two are still going through a more terrifying experience. When they come out and meet up with Su Yin, they will definitely be able to kill this dog." The blood lion still felt a lingering fear when he thought of that terrifying forbidden area. 3 of their companions had died in the trial of life and death. Only 7 of them were left. The blood lion and the others had left the mountain early because their potential had been exhausted. However, the 4 of them had also transformed. In their bodies, wisps of ancient and terrifying bloodline power were released. They all had astonishing combat power of their generation. That's right. The 4 top powerhouses nodded. They were afraid that the great characters guarding the Milky Way galaxy didn't know that when the Chaos Ruins opened, the old leader had used his heaven-defying combat strength to open up a hidden tunnel that ran through the universe. He had transported the 10 strongest young powerhouses of the burial realm to a dangerous forbidden area in the Chaos Ruins. The old leader had accidentally discovered this dangerous forbidden area. This was a terrifying mountain, a world of gods and demons, a world of chaos. The broken war flag was dug out by the old leader from this mountain. Baokai and the others had undergone cruel training on this dangerous mountain. There were miserable howls all day long. Even Yi Yuan, who had always been calm, sometimes cried out in pain. However, he was slowly transforming. The essence blood in his body was surging like a golden sea. In the cruel training, he had also gained a lot. He had dug out the celestial demon liquid, the top sacred medicine, and the earth juice that had been deposited for millions of years. The one who had changed the most was Yi Yuan. He had gone through the barbaric mountain, which was also the orthodoxy of the barbaric mountain that the prehistoric Big Brother had personally explored. He had a kind of domineering power. He was transforming day by day. He was like a slumbering war god that had returned. This was a kind of peerless power that could pierce through the heavens. His back faintly transformed into a giant golden bow that could shoot the sun in the sky. The explosive power was actually so terrifying. I'm about to break through to the heavenly deity realm. I wonder how Brother Su Yin is doing now. This damned forbidden area. How long will it take to trap us? Tensor's voice was loud. His supreme body was like an immeasurable furnace that was burning. His entire body emitted immeasurable divine light and surged with world-piercing waves. His divine might suppressed the heaven and earth. Roar! A low roar exploded. Tensor and the others were already used to it. This was the snores of the Baokai. The sound of its snoring shook the heavens. Its breathing was really like the roar of a big tiger here. It had been sleeping for almost half a year. Its fat body was like a big mountain of meat, spitting out vast amounts of essence energy. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 9:57. The second item of the auction was naturally the Heavenly Deity Tree. The auction for the Celestial Tree was interesting. Back then, the young overlords of various races were fighting in the universe mystic realm. In the end, the Tao Hall stepped in to resolve the conflict and even distributed the wealth of the Celestial Tree to all the young overlords. Of course, the sagely battle god and the others couldn't obtain it because they had chosen the celestial fruit. Although there were more than 20 young elites competing for the celestial tree, the price of the celestial tree was extremely terrifying. The various young overlords also received a large sum of money. This is the celestial tree. Su Yan's eyes landed on an ancient tree that was as vigorous as a dragon. Suddenly, Su Yan felt as though he had seen the medium of the great Tao. This celestial tree was like a purple ancient tree formed by the combination of great Taos. It was filled with boundless celestial fluctuations. The most valuable part of this ancient tree was the celestial fruit it bore. Of course, there were also ruthless people who chopped down the celestial tree and forged it into a great Tao weapon. In the future, it would definitely be a great Tao sacred weapon. However, there weren't many ruthless people who were willing to chop down this tree. This item was extremely important to a tribe. After all, every 33,000 years, the Empyrean God fruit would bear fruit. Each fruit represented one Empyrean God. Although there were only 12 fruits, 12 Empyrean gods were born every 30,000 years. This was a great boost to a peak clan. However, this item would need to accumulate over time to slowly display its value. When the auction started, the scene was extremely terrifying. Even if the tribes from the Tao Hall participated, its value wouldn't be any less than the almighty battle armor. The value of the strongest rare treasures is too frightening. I wonder how strong the final item will be. Su Yan was amazed. In fact, if a tribe had more than a dozen celestial trees, wouldn't that be amazing? However, this was completely a fool's dream. Even if a tribe really had one, the other tribes would still covet their tribe's celestial tree. When Zhu Yongjia saw that the heavenly deity tree was about to break through the 300,000 threshold, he shouted angrily, "Damn it! If I wasn't chasing after Su Yan, I would have had a share in the auction for the heavenly deity tree. I would have lost more than 5,000 kilograms of chaos treasure for no reason." Actually, Zhu Yongjia's words were deliberately said for Bamboo Moon to hear. He deliberately wanted to disgust Bamboo Moon. Originally, Zhu Yongjia wanted to see Bamboo Moon's face change and even reprimand him. Zhu Yongjia seized the opportunity to quarrel with her and see if he could find out the identity of the mysterious person in the box. However, he was disappointed. Zhu Yu's expression was as usual. She was as graceful and elegant as ever. She was like a classical beauty with peerless charm. She was almost certain that the mysterious man in the room should be Su Yan. The entire auction venue was extremely lively. The auction was still going on, and the price was nearing the 350,000 threshold. The tribes that were bidding had decreased by a lot. In the end, the item was won by the Tao Temple, which made many people gasp. However, they were no exception. The Tao Temple was a big family with many mystic realms in their hands. The resources of the entire Tao Temple were immeasurable. Now that the Tao Temple had spent a lot of money to win the heavenly deity tree, there was no doubt that they had another huge foundation. The final auction has begun. It said that the Tao Temple prepared the final item for the finale. It was originally going to be auctioned off in the super auction. That's incredible. Such an item would attract the attention of powerful figures. I wonder what treasure the Tao Temple prepared this time. In the auction venue, everyone's eyes were focused on King Kampa. At this moment, he was also solemn. It was obvious that this was the finale item. The entire Tao Temple paid special attention to this item. Next, let's begin the auction for the final item. King Kampa took a deep breath and took out a jade box. When the jade box was opened, an earthy yellow stone appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Many people were at a loss. Only a very small number of people were shocked. This is especially the old Grandmaster of the Han family. His sharp eyes saw that the earthy yellow stone was extraordinary. His hunched body trembled. What treasure is this? Su Yan was shocked. He stared at the earthy yellow stone. Su Yan was proficient in mystical arts and knew the layout of mountains and rivers like the back of his hand. This earthen yellow stone looked ordinary, but on the stone, there were natural patterns inscribed on it. Upon closer inspection, these patterns were really connected. The great path of heaven was entrenched on the stone. It was filled with an indescribable aura. Upon closer inspection, this earthy yellow stone seemed to have turned into a vast world. It was intertwined with the endless light of the great path of order, and it was filled with a peerless power that could suppress the sea of stars. The old grandmaster of the Han family was even more shocked. His body trembled uncontrollably as he exclaimed, "Could this be the Universe Stone? The legendary Universe Stone?" His words shocked everyone present. Everyone was flabbergasted. The Universe Stone was known as the world's top treasure material. Among the supreme treasures, it was known as the world's top treasure material. It could be said to be the universe's most terrifying immortal treasure. In the legends, a complete Universe Stone, if it fell into the hands of a supreme being, would become a complete universe treasure after some refinement. It was equivalent to controlling a universe dimension. It was said that this supreme treasure could compete with supreme treasures. Of course, this was only a legend. No one had ever heard of any of the major forces controlling a complete Universe Stone. Universe Stone, Su Yin was speechless. He had some understanding of this item. It was the world's top treasure material. It was said that it required the universe to undergo a long period of gestation. It could easily take millions of years or even longer. This item was equivalent to the universe's carrier. Universe stones had appeared before, but there were no complete universe stones. These universe stones were dug out from incomplete universes. The price was sky high, and it would cause the supreme beings to compete with each other. From this, it could be seen how expensive the incomplete universes were. There were many strange items within, and they were treasures that even the supreme beings would covet. Everyone quiet down. In the chaotic scene, King Kampa's loud voice suppressed the entire audience. He stood on the auction stage and said excitedly, "This is indeed a Universe Stone. An esteemed guest entrusted it to our Grand Avenue auction house. It is a supreme treasure." After it was confirmed, the supreme beings of the major clans were all envious. They had to get this item. They had no use for it, but it would be of great use to the strongest of their clans. Although it is not complete, of course, no one knows what a complete Universe Stone looks like. Divine King Kong Bo smiled and said, "However, if this Cosmos Stone were to be used with other supreme treasure materials to forge a supreme treasure, its value would be unimaginable. It might even be comparable to supreme treasures." Although he said this, if a furnace of supreme treasures was really used to forge a weapon, the price would be too frightening. This item, the bidding method, cannot be measured by chaos treasure materials. King Kampa was silent for a moment. Then he said, "We will bid with all kinds of strange items. The owner of the Universe Stone is also here. Everyone, feel free to bid. A complete stock of divine medicine." At this moment, someone calmed down and shouted, "I will bid a complete stock of divine medicine." Dong dong. This sound caused the hearts of many to race. In short, the entire place was in an uproar. Someone directly took out a stock of divine medicine to trade for this small piece of Universe Stone. How expensive was this item? King Kampa shook his head. Divine medicine was indeed extremely valuable, but it was not qualified to trade for Universe Stones. There were many divine medicines unearthed from the chaos ruins in the past, but Universe Stones, even after opening several incomplete universes, might not be able to get one. A supreme being's sacred weapon for killing, plus a supreme being's battle armor. A heavy voice exploded in the auction house, causing the experts' scalps to go numb. Someone from the ancestral hall stood out and shouted a terrifying price. Two supreme beings were trading sacred weapons. How can Universe Stones be so valuable? Many people were shocked. Universe Stones are valuable not only because they're the world's most supreme treasures. Someone said in a low voice, "Universe Stones nurture a terrifying great Tao of the universe. This is a Tao fruit that even supreme beings want to comprehend, so its value is inestimable." In the end, those from the ancestral hall were disappointed. They had already raised the price to the limit. But it was obvious that the other party did not need a supreme being's sacred weapon. They reckoned that their origins were not small, so they could only use other types of treasures to trade. I am willing to trade with an 8th grade imperishable golden pill. Someone said something shocking, causing the hearts of the younger generation to tremble. An 8th grade imperishable golden pill was a pill that only existed in legends. It was rumored that once this pill was refined, one could cultivate an imperishable body. Its price was ridiculously high, and it had almost never appeared in an auction. The sagely battle god was crazy with excitement. He did not expect someone to possess an imperishable golden pill. This item was very suitable for him, but its price was clearly not something the He clan could afford. Congratulations, Tao friend. An 8th grade imperishable golden pill can be used as an alternative. The crowd turned pale. 2 supreme beings from 2 sects did not want a sacred weapon, but instead wanted an 8th grade imperishable golden pill. Wasn't this a little irrational? Suyin was also thinking that if it was him, what would he choose? If an 8th grade imperishable golden pill was refined in the Divine King's domain, it was said that the terrifying level of the body would be comparable to that of a supreme being. All in all, this item was fatally attractive to the younger generation. I have an ancient nirvana pill that can be reborn from the ashes. Its value is definitely not lower than the imperishable golden pill. My clan will trade with the Supreme Being's lifetime cultivation notes, his heavenly art, secret scriptures, and divine powers. I will trade with a connate spiritual root and dig it out from a universe secret realm. Although it hasn't matured yet, it already has the scale. If the owner of the universe stone is interested, you can come and observe it. Its lifespan is definitely not less than 400,000 years. Once matured, it will definitely be a top-tier divine medicine. The entire auction site was silent. At least a dozen mysterious cultivators were bidding in secret. Many people had never heard of the items that they were bidding for. The final bidding was truly too pretentious, leaving them flabbergasted. The Great Avenue Auction House was indeed a place of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Some people even had the urge to rob the Great Avenue Auction House. There was one more chapter at night. Jiutian Divine Emperor. Chapter 958. The entire auction hall was abuzz with discussions about what the Cosmos Stone would be sold for, causing the experts present to discuss spiritedly. Once such an auction item was involved, even the Almighty wouldn't take out a treasure that would satisfy the other party. When dozens of rare treasures were called out, the owner of the Cosmos Stone was only partial towards the imperishable golden pellet and innate spiritual roots. The imperishable golden pellet is extremely attractive to the younger generation. I wonder if the other party will choose the imperishable golden pellet? I wonder who took out the Cosmos Stone. If the transaction is completed, then they'll really make a killing. Actually, the Cosmos Stone is only useful to almighty experts. On the contrary, it's completely useless to those below the almighty level. It's better to take it out to exchange for rare treasures. I feel that the innate spiritual roots aren't that competitive. Admittedly, the innate spiritual roots have the potential to become a top divine medicine and are extremely important to a tribe. However, it's not mature yet. It'll take at least 50,000 to 60,000 years to grow, and it'll even take a lot of resources to nurture it. Do you know what a top divine medicine means? It's enough to invite an almighty to risk his life for them. This item is enough to extend the lifespan of an almighty. Its value is beyond your imagination. In a large auction hall, the experts were constantly discussing. Now, the owner of the Cosmos Stone was also at a loss as to what treasure to choose. Originally, everything was about to be settled, but who knew that a faintly discernible wisp of terrifying energy would surge over, causing the noisy auction hall to instantly become silent. Boom! The doors of the auction house were pushed open, and a figure appeared. As he breathed, the void trembled and the space became illusory. It was as if his breathing suppressed the universe and covered the stars and moonlight in the sky. Xiaoming. The hall was filled with cries of surprise. This person was extremely famous and was known as an absolute king of the younger generation. Even the divine king of the older generation would change his expression when talking about him. Since he came to the auction house at this time, he must have some ulterior motives. The arrival of an absolute king of a generation caused a heated discussion. Qiu Ming is indeed Qiu Ming. The auction is about to end, but he can actually enter at this time. Someone was speechless. At the entrance of the Grand Avenue auction house, a golden radiance shone resplendently as a heavy aura surged forth. This absolute king who lived in legends had his eyes fixed on the Cosmos Stone the moment he entered. It was obvious that he had come for the Cosmos Stone. At this moment, the cultivator who took out the indestructible golden pill paled on the spot. If Qiu Ming were to participate, then the outcome would be hard to say. After all, he represented a forbidden zone behind him. Once the contest for the Cosmos Stone began, it was very likely that he would snatch it away. Qiu Ming walked step by step into the auction house. His figure flickered in and out of existence as though he was walking through time and space, causing the young overlords to breathe heavily. When they faced Qiu Ming, they felt as though they were facing their clan's old ancestor. Qiu Ming's cultivation was getting stronger and stronger. It was said that he was about to step into the realm of the Almighties and even the threshold of the half-step Almighties. It was not difficult for Qiu Ming at all. I bid 100 drops of universe source liquid in exchange for Cosmos Stones. Qiu Ming's calm voice sounded out. Every single syllable emitted a terrifying pressure that exploded in the venue of the Grand Avenue auction house, causing a huge commotion. Even the older generation turned pale with fright. In particular, the eyes of the various divine kings turned purple with envy. What kind of heaven-defying immortal treasure was the universe source liquid? But now, Qiu Ming directly took out 100 drops. Every drop of this thing was a rare supreme treasure that even the Almighties coveted. There were also many people who were suspicious. What was this universe source liquid? They didn't know. Suyin clenched his fists. Indeed, it wasn't difficult for someone like Qiu Ming to obtain the universe source liquid. After all, he had the life-forbidden zone behind him. There was very little universe source liquid even among the peak races, but Qiu Ming still had a stockpile. Back progenitor, a whole lake of universe source liquid. Suyin smiled bitterly in his heart. Although Suyin had taken out some back then, he had handed it over to Yiling Tian and the others. He didn't know if Bao Kai and the others had taken out the universe source liquid when they returned to Earth. After all, that incomplete cauldron was controlled by Bao Kai. If it recovered, it could certainly take away a large amount of universe source liquid. Suyin thought that perhaps now, within the back progenitor, a group of divine kings of the buried realm race were secretly digesting the universe source liquid. Every year was very important to them. This matter was top secret among top secrets. Not even the slightest bit of information could be leaked out. Once the news leaked out, the consequences would be severe. The buried realm race would become invincible. God knew how many old monsters would be entrenched outside the Milky Way galaxy, wanting to invade and take away the universe source liquid. After all, this thing was too precious in the end. It could make up for the shortcomings of a person's cultivation and even perfect the accumulation of a divine king's domain. Dozens of drops of this heaven-defying thing were already a terrifying amount of wealth. The owner of the Universe Stone said that if you can take out 150 drops, you can directly trade it. King Kampa suppressed the shock in his heart and said directly. This made the owner of the innate spiritual root and the indestructible golden pill extremely angry. Damn it! Why did it have to come when they were about to succeed? Wasn't this deliberately making things difficult for them? This Qiu Ming was really a troublemaker. However, they didn't have the universe source liquid at all, so they could only stare helplessly. 120 drops? This is my limit. Qiu Ming was silent for a moment and then spoke again. His words shocked some cultivators who knew nothing about the universe source liquid. What was the universe source liquid that dozens of drops were so precious that they could be traded for universe stones? Suyin knew very well that, not to mention 100 drops, even 20 drops were extremely important to the Divine King. It was enough to allow the weak Divine King to grow into a pinnacle powerhouse. Comparisons are odious. Iron Blood King cursed. When they stepped into the Divine King's realm, they would think of ways to get their hands on the universe source liquid. But Xiaoming could take out more than 100 drops to trade for treasures. People didn't even think that he only had 100 drops. He definitely had some in stock. The universe source liquid is the energy essence bred by the universe. This thing is abundant in the incomplete universe, but it is also very rare. Every time it appears, it will trigger a great battle between the pinnacle. This is something that all almighty beings yearn to have. Even in an incomplete universe, you might not be able to dig out a few hundred drops of this thing. Sometimes it's even pitifully small, with only a few dozen drops. Someone explained to the cultivators who didn't know the preciousness of the universe source liquid, leaving them dumbfounded. The essence of the universe. No wonder it was so precious. Damn it, our back progenitor has a lake. What kind of heaven-defying wealth is this? Can we buy the entire Great Tao City? Su Yan's eyes were red. He had underestimated the value of the universe source liquid. In fact, when Xiaohou learned that there was a lake of universe source liquid, he was really frightened. Even someone as strong as him lost his mind, let alone the divine king powerhouses present. Deal! King Kampa finally shouted a deal, causing a huge commotion. There was no doubt that the value of the indestructible golden pellet was not even comparable to the universe source liquid. Was this thing more powerful than the indestructible golden pellet? In fact, it couldn't be said which was stronger or weaker. Both were rare things that were of great help to cultivation. However, the effect of the universe source liquid was more special. It was the essence of the universe, so it was especially precious. The bidding for the finale item ended just like that. It was even directly won by Xiaoming with 120 drops of universe source liquid, leaving many people stunned. It ended just like that. This auction, King Kampa wanted to take it out for auction. At the end of the auction, Xiaoming said directly, "King Kampa, wait a moment." Although King Kampa was a little unhappy, he still gave face to Xiaoming. He wanted to see what this guy wanted to do. Was he going to pretend to be a leader of the Tao Temple and announce something here? Didn't he know that there were almighty beings bidding in the auction? I heard that a humanoid puppet was auctioned before. I wonder which fellow Taoist bought it. Xiaoming went straight to the point. At the same time, there was a trace of urgency in his heart. Originally, he was not interested in an auction that was not the standard of super auction. However, when he heard that a humanoid puppet was being auctioned and could even fuse with it, Xiaoming immediately paid attention to it. He had once looked up the ancient palace and knew that in historical times, there was an extremely terrifying forging technique known as the uncanny workmanship. It was a forging technique that had been lost for a long time. The uncanny workmanship was known as the most terrifying forging technique. It was a technique that surpassed the heavens and was the technique of the craftsman god. It was said that this forging technique could forge a puppet or battle doll. Once it was completed, it was equivalent to a living creature. Xiaoming had even looked up some particularly terrifying things in the ancient palace. It was said that a puppet that was qualified to be forged with the uncanny workmanship had extremely powerful combat strength. A puppet of the Divine King? It was not qualified to be forged at all. Then, the item that was auctioned before was likely a legendary item. This item was too precious. Even if it was a puppet at the half-step almighty level, it was enough for Xiaoming to buy back at a high price. When Xiaoming learned that the auction was suspected of auctioning such a puppet, he immediately rushed over. In fact, he had only bought the universe stone in passing. As for materials, he was not lacking at all. He had already gathered more than half of the supreme materials needed for him to become an almighty in the future. In the future, Xiaoming would become a peak overlord in the universe. He had already begun preparing the materials for his future weapon a long time ago. Could that puppet be? Many people paled. Could it be that it was not as simple as it seemed? King Kampa had previously thought that Su Yan had suffered a loss. Now, Su Yan must have picked up a bargain. Damn, this King Xiaoming. The group of treasure appraisers from the Grand Avenue auction house all had dark expressions as they cursed. They had made a mistake. That puppet was definitely a dusty treasure. However, this B***starred Xiaoming had pointed it out directly. Wasn't that saying that they were incompetent? When Xiaoming saw that many eyes were focused on Su Yan's private room, Xiaoming smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist, I wonder if you can let me take a look at it? Take a look at 100 drops of universe liquid." Su Yan's loud voice silenced the entire place. Damn, he was too black-hearted. He had to pay 100 drops of universe liquid just to take a look? The smile on Xiaoming's face disappeared. His tone was still calm as he said, "Fellow Taoist, your request is a bit too much. If that puppet has a lost forging technique, I can buy it at a high price." Su Yan sneered. Could Xiaoming afford an item that even the prehistoric big brother was serious about? He could not afford it even if he pawned his underwear. That puppet is said to be damaged. Without the forging technique, it can't be repaired. Xiaoming spoke again with an anxious look. Su Yan looked at the prehistoric big brother. The prehistoric big brother rarely spoke. It's hard to find. Su Yan's body trembled as he said to Xiaoming in a deep voice, "It said that you, Xiaoming, have grasped the shocking zone scroll. I don't know if I can borrow it to take a look. Anyway, it hasn't evolved to the level of a supreme treasure. I'll give you 50 kilograms of chaos treasure material. If you let me take a look, maybe my big brother can forge it into a supreme treasure with his supreme ability." Roar 18, Alexander. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 959. The entire Great Path auction house was filled with experts from all walks of life. There were also important figures from various clans who were watching all of this in their private rooms. How special was this puppet? Many people's expressions were abnormal. Some people's faces were even twitching slightly. Where did this weirdo come from? Was he trying to annoy Xiaoming to death? Moreover, this clan's domain-shaking painting scroll was now in the hands of Xiaoming. With this item in hand, even a mighty figure would not be able to easily suppress Xiaoming. The domain-shaking painting scroll was a great path sacred weapon passed down from generation to generation in the Life Forbidden Zone. It was also a top-level great path sacred weapon that was infinitely close to the level of a supreme treasure. But what did Su Yan say? He took it out for observation and gave Xiaoming 50 kilograms of chaos treasure material as an observation fee. The value was very high, but to Xiaoming, wasn't it like he was sending a beggar away? Xiaoming's face instantly darkened. The other party was making fun of him. I wonder what level of treasure this puppet is. Xiaoming repeatedly said that he wanted to see the puppet's true appearance. It seems that this puppet is really extraordinary. I feel that the mysterious person in the private room has an important background. He didn't even give face to Xiaoming. Today, I've really learned something new. There are so many experts in the auction house who could not see the mystery of the human-shaped puppet. Only he could. This is enough to explain one thing. Perhaps this person also came from the Life Forbidden Zone. There are also people who were confused. They still remembered the puppet that had been auctioned previously. After all, it had led to a shocking gamble. But when the puppet was being auctioned, they had observed it many times. They really could not see what kind of secrets the puppet was hiding. Could it be that this puppet was really an extremely unique treasure? Or could it be that the puppet's forging process was really that terrifying? It was so valuable that even Xiaoming paid special attention to it. Despicable Great Path Auction House. Despicable Great Path Auction House. As for the original owner of the puppet, he was now filled with regret. Although he didn't know how valuable the humanoid puppet was, or how special it was a huge loss. It was too late to say anything now. Su Yan had already won the bid for the humanoid puppet. This was a treasure that originally belonged to him. It was fine if he didn't know, but now that he knew, he wanted to vomit blood. Brother Xiaoming. All of a sudden, Han Weiran walked out. Her previous attitude was completely different from before. Her demeanor was meek and gentle. She was born with a cold and elegant demeanor. Now that she had a gentle and charming face, she attracted the passionate gazes of many men. Han Weiran looked at Xiaoming with adoring eyes. Her charming eyes were like silk as she said in a sweet voice, "Big brother Xiaoming, don't be anxious. The human-shaped puppet will only belong to him for 10 days. After 10 days, it will belong to me. At that time, Big Brother Xiaoming can just take it away. Oh, when Xiaoming, who was in a bad mood, heard Han Weiron's words, he was a little surprised. It was obvious that he didn't know about the bet. I will tell Big Brother Xiaoming about this later. Big Brother Xiaoming, come with me first. Han Weiran pulled Xiaoming's hand, which caused the pearls of various clans to be secretly jealous. After all, Xiaoming was an absolute king. There were quite a number of proud ladies who admired him. At the same time, Han Weiron's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. She shouted at Su Yan's private room, "Take good care of my item. After 10 days, I hope you could deliver it to me in perfect condition. If there is even a trace of damage, I won't let you off." After speaking, Han Weiran pulled Xiaoming into the private room. "Little brother, your tone is really big. If there is even a word missing from my heavenly scripture, don't blame me for taking care of you." Su Yan's voice also floated over, causing Han Weiran, who had half a foot in the private room, to tremble with anger. She made up her mind to wait until the Great Dao battle platform started before she cut Su Yan into 8 pieces. Kiki, Xiaoming is Xiaoming. Han Weiran is the most outstanding noble lady of the Han family. Zhu Yongjia was amazed and glanced at Bamboo Moon with a playful expression. He took out the cosmic liquid just like that. This Xiaoming is really rich. Some people are really throwing away a watermelon for sesame seeds. The experts of the Sky Bamboo branch all knew that Xiaoming regarded Bamboo Moon with special regard, especially in the past few years when Bamboo Moon was in the family. Xiaoming secretly came to the Sky Bamboo branch several times just to meet with Bamboo Moon. However, Bamboo Moon closed the door and refused to see any guests, which made some of the elders of the Sky Bamboo branch unhappy. Although they knew that Xiaoming had other plans, if Bamboo Moon could improve her relationship with Xiaoming, their Sky Bamboo branch would tie Xiaoming to their worship. Unfortunately, he didn't care about Bamboo Moon at all and was even dissatisfied with her. This made the experts of the Sky Bamboo branch feel helpless. Moreover, Han Weiran of the Han family, the first noble lady of the Han family, had a close relationship with Xiaoming. If the Sky Bamboo branch interfered, it would also anger the entire Han family. Therefore, the Sky Bamboo branch simply didn't care about this. Zhu Yongjia, no one will take you for mute if you don't speak. Bamboo Moon's tone was somewhat cold. Am I not speaking the truth? Zhu Yongjia snorted. Han Weiran wasn't this strong before. Xiaoming must have given her some resources. That cosmic mother liquid is too precious. Our Sky Bamboo branch doesn't have much of it, and you, Bamboo Moon, can forget about getting a single drop of cosmic mother liquid. Zhu Yongjia's tone was very heavy. There were many experts in the Sky Bamboo branch, and the small amount of cosmic mother liquid in the clan had long been reserved by geniuses like Zhu Yongjia. Once they stepped into the Divine King's domain, it would be time to use this worldly wonder. Bamboo Moon sneered. Cosmic mother liquid. She still remembered that Su Yan had taken out bottles of cosmic mother liquid in the past. However, this guy didn't even know what cosmic mother liquid was. It was also because of the cosmic mother liquid that Su Yan had taken out that allowed Bamboo Moon to accumulate an extremely strong foundation in the divine realm, which allowed her to perfect her previous flaws. Otherwise, when she returned to the Sky Bamboo branch, her family's old ancestor wouldn't have paid so much attention to her. It was also because of this that she was able to step into the peak of the heavenly god realm at an extremely fast speed. Now that she had obtained the Star Moon fruit, Bamboo Moon felt even more anxious about entering the Divine King's domain. What are you laughing at? Zhu Yongjia was angry. Bamboo Moon's clothes fluttered, and her snow-white skin was hazy under the moonlight. She was beautiful and holy, and her sparkling black hair fell to her waist, exuding a kind of astonishing beauty. Bamboo Moon's indifference made Zhu Yongjia even angrier. On the other hand, in Han Weiron's private room, Xiaoming was somewhat suspicious of the information that Han Kong kept saying. The person in the private room was Su Yan. However, when he recalled this person called Su Yan, Xiaoming really believed it. Looking at the vast cultivation world, who would dare to speak to him like this? Nephew, Are you sure that thing is extraordinary? The Han family's old grandmaster asked in a grave tone. Yes. Xiaoming nodded and said, it's very likely that it's an extremely powerful forging technique that has been lost in history. Even the humanoid puppet itself should be powerful enough. Hateful. That little bastard tricked me. The Han family's old grandmaster carefully thought back, and his expression changed again and again. He angrily said, at that time, I said that I wanted to buy the puppet at a high price, but in the end, this kid said that he spent money to buy it and bet my Han family's Heavenly Force chapter. I was tricked. Elder, don't panic. Han Weiran chuckled and said, now that Big Brother Xiaoming is here, I don't care who he is. With Big Brother Xiaoming here, don't tell me that I can't deal with him. Not bad, not bad. Ha ha, if it's really Su Yin, then his end has really come. The Han family's old grandmaster laughed heartily. These words were not wrong. And for the next few days, Weiran, follow me and go into seclusion for a few days. Xiaoming also nodded. In order to ensure that nothing went wrong, he would think of a way to increase Han Weiran's strength. If he could smoothly take down Su Yin, then whether it was the humanoid puppet or the Heavenly Force chapter, they would all be in his pocket. Thank you, Big Brother Xiaoming. Han Weiran was pleasantly surprised. Her red dress made her look beautiful and enchanting. Her eyes rippled with waves of joy. I hope that thing really won't disappoint me. Xiaoming still could not forget about it. The uncanny craftsmanship technique was the strongest inheritance at the pinnacle of the forging technique. Even the puppet could very well be a rare treasure of the Almighty series. In short, no matter what, Xiaoming was determined to get this thing. If the other party was Su Yin, then it would be even more perfect. Nephew, don't be careless. The Han family's old grandmaster reminded him worriedly. Su Yin is also very strange. Although we can't be sure whether it's him or not, we still can't be careless. I say, Elder. Han Weiran frowned unhappily and said, Big Brother Xiaoming has already made his move. What is Su Yin even? My Big Brother Xiaoming can crush him with a single finger. He's not a threat at all. What are you still worried about? Moreover, Su Yin has just stepped into the heavenly god realm. There's a difference of 8 small realms between him and me. I can suppress Su Yin with my divine power alone. Weiran, Xiaoming said in a deep voice. How can you speak to the elder like that? I don't care about Su Yin, but it's never wrong to be careful. I'll personally help you improve your strength these few days. You have to cultivate seriously, too. Don't be careless. I know. Han Weiran was as docile as a little lamb. She listened to Xiaoming's words. Ha ha ha. Xiaoming, I'm relieved that you're so considerate. All right, you can leave now. I have to make a trip back to the family. The Han family's old grandmaster nodded in satisfaction. Take care, Elder. Xiaoming watched him leave. Then, he looked at Su Yan's private room. He wanted to use his heaven's eye to take a look, but after thinking about it, he shook his head. After all, this was the Grand Avenue auction house. Although his identity was special, he could not break the rules as he wished. The auction held by the Grand Avenue auction house ended just like that. The news spread all over the place, causing a series of commotion in the city of the Grand Avenue. After all, the battle in 10 days was too shocking. Even Xiaoming was involved. How could all the clans not be moved? Once the battle on the Grand Avenue battle stage started, it would attract all the powerhouses to come and watch. At the same time, all the shops in the city of the Grand Avenue were in an uproar. Large groups of cultivators rushed out of the auction house, looking for the human-shaped puppet with red eyes. Most importantly, they were looking for the human-shaped puppet that they could merge with. News kept leaking out, causing quite a commotion. The appraisers of the Grand Avenue auction house were wrong. This incident had a huge impact. If the appraisers of an auction house couldn't recognize the real deal, the reputation of the auction house would fall. However, the Grand Avenue auction house was still a huge organization. They wouldn't lose their reputation because of a mistake like this. However, this incident caused the appraisers of the auction house to stare at it. Actually, they took advantage of the time when Su Yin was collecting the treasures to gather together and study the human-shaped puppet crazily. However, no matter how much they studied, They couldn't find out any other special value of the human-shaped puppet. This made them smile bitterly. What the F***CK was this? With their knowledge, they had seen all kinds of treasures. However, they couldn't figure out what was so special about the puppet. There was even a bad-tempered appraiser who said, "I think we should ask him to explain clearly. What kind of treasure is this puppet?" And Xiaoming, that son of 8B***TCH. He just had to point out the puppet. He is looking for trouble. I had something to do in the morning, so I went out to do some work. I only came back at noon. Chapter 960. These master appraisers were just saying it out of their mouths. Divine King Kong Bo had passed down a message earlier, warning them not to act recklessly. The other party's background was very powerful, and he had a big brother following him. With a mighty figure following him, the appraisers could only smile bitterly. They did not dare to touch the item. They even felt that Su Yin had bought the puppet because of the mighty figure's approval. The item had already been bid for. It was impossible to go back on his word now. It's not just one item. On the way to collect the treasures, Su Yin heard the discussions of the cultivators who had left. He covered his mouth and laughed. There were a total of 2 treasures. The other was the cosmic stone. If not for the fact that the cosmic stone had been contaminated, Su Yin would not have bid for it so easily. In short, the items that the prehistoric Big Brother valued were definitely not ordinary. The humanoid puppet that was hard to find in the world and the Chinquin stone that hid the universe made Su Yin look forward to seeing what was so extraordinary about them. Just like that, Su Yin and Big Brother Prehistoric went to the important area where they could collect the treasures. The important items of the auction could only be collected after the auction ended. This place was filled with experts. Occasionally, the aura of a half-step mighty figure would be released to prevent any accidents. If this batch of treasures was lost, the entire Dao Hall would be in trouble. After all, 99% of the auction items did not belong to the Great Dao Auction House. Their auction house would take a commission from the transaction. Of course, there had been many cases of the auction being robbed. The most terrifying thing that had happened was that a mighty figure with a withered lifespan had robbed an auction of a terrifying scale. That incident was recorded by all the major family clans. It was said that a large ancient city in the chaos ruins had collapsed. The number of people who had died was immeasurable. It could be said that the people were in a terrible situation. Although this almighty with a withered lifespan had succeeded, he did not live for more than a year before he was killed by the combined forces of the various major forces. The longer one lived, the more one feared death. This was especially true for mighty figures. If they did something crazy before they died, the consequences would be unbearable. 4 generations, the Taoist Temple would send experts to guard every grand event held by the Great Path Auction House in order to prevent any major changes from happening. At this moment, Su Yin and the prehistoric Big Brother arrived at the secret room where the treasure exchange took place. "Greetings, Senior." Although these grandmasters were infuriated, they didn't dare to show any disrespect to this mysterious expert. They couldn't afford to offend him. All of them respectfully went forward to greet him. "Don't mention it, fellow Taoists," Su Yin said with a smile. "These are the 3 items you've purchased: the Chinquin stone, the pill of resurrection, and the humanoid puppet. These 3 items were worth more than 50,000 kilograms of primal chaos treasure materials." They were presented before Su Yin, awaiting his inspection. Su Yin did a quick check and paid the money. Of course, there was still a batch of primordial materials that Su Yin had yet to collect. He used the yin-yang grass to pay for it. Of course you can use yin-yang grass. Do you have any extra yin-yang grass on you? Our auction house can buy all of them for 3,000 kilograms of primal chaos treasure materials. The many founding members of the Grand Avenue Auction House were naturally very happy. They even asked Su Yin if he had any extra yin-yang grass. Their auction house could buy them all. "No, that's all." Su Yin's head was like a rattle drum. The founding members of the Grand Avenue Auction House could only stare at him. They didn't know what to do with Su Yin and didn't dare to ask any more questions. During the exchange, King Compass smiled at Su Yin and said, "Fellow Taoist, if you're free, you can visit the Dao Hall. Our Dao Hall is currently recruiting disciples. With your talent, you're qualified to become a disciple of the Tao Hall. Is the Tao Hall inviting me to study under a master? Su Yin was surprised. I wouldn't dare. King Kampa laughed and said, although our Tao Hall can't compare to the individual teachings of a mighty figure, the Tao Hall still includes geniuses from various races. We even have a collection of ancient scriptures from various eras, which can be of great help to cultivation. If you're interested, you can enter the Tao Hall to read. Is the Tao Hall so generous as to teach for free? Su Yin asked curiously. Haha, of course there are certain conditions. King Kampa smiled and said, take me for example. When I cultivate to the Divine King realm, I have to serve the Tao Hall for a period of time. But ever since I joined, I've never left the Tao Hall. The Tao Hall's environment isn't inferior to that of the peak races. In fact, some of them are even better. In short, the Tao Hall's power was extremely mysterious. Even King Kampa, who had joined the Tao Hall for thousands of years, had never seen who the Tao Hall master was. Generally speaking, the Tao Hall would only appear at the end of the universal era, when the Chaos Ruins were contending for supremacy. There's no hurry. When I'm done with the bet, I'll definitely pay the Tao Hall a visit when I have time. Su Yin smiled and said, although you have a bet with the Han family, it doesn't matter whether you go or not. It's good to let the Han family worry. King Kampa replied, why? King Kampa, are you afraid that I'll lose? Su Yin laughed. What are you talking about, my friend? Divine King Kong, Bo hurriedly said, the main thing is that the stakes are a little too high. The Heavenly Force chapter is the lifeblood of the Han family. Now that Xiaoming is involved, I'm afraid that it might lead to unnecessary trouble. Fellow Taoist, you have to think carefully about whether you want to attract trouble for no reason. Trouble. Su Yin smiled mysteriously. He came to the great Tao city to cause trouble. With his prehistoric big brother by his side, he didn't mind causing trouble. Seeing Su Yin's expression, King Kampa's expression turned solemn. The other party was not afraid of trouble, nor was he afraid of Xiaoming. His background was really scary, which meant that he had a lot of confidence. Finally, King Kampa whispered, my friend, what kind of treasure is this human-shaped puppet? A group of treasure appraisers from our auction house have just appraised a few more items, but they couldn't find anything special about it. I'm really afraid that this group of old guys will be upset. Hearing that, Su Yin said, actually, there's nothing special about it. The Han family bid mainly because they saw the craftsmanship of the puppet. If they can decipher the craftsmanship on the puppet, it's equivalent to mastering an extremely powerful craftsmanship. This craftsmanship is the most valuable, and it's a secret craftsmanship that specializes in crafting puppets. It's worth a lot. Su Yin was full of nonsense, and the treasure appraisers who were eavesdropping felt that it was very likely. No wonder they couldn't tell. The problem was with the craftsmanship. This wasn't something they trespassed into. Su Yin spouted some nonsense to make the appraisers feel a lot better. Divine King Kong, Bo, also invited Su Yin again and again, insisting that he sit down in the Tao Palace. Of course. If there's a chance, I'll definitely go back to the Taoist temple. Su Yin smiled and said, King Kampa, I hope that for the bet in 10 days, you can help me seriously examine the Tianxia chapter. If not, the Han family will come up with a fake one to fool me. It seems that my friend is very confident. You don't have to worry about the bet. The Han family isn't so bold as to deceive the Taoist temple. The Tianxia chapter will definitely be authentic. Of course, the Han family won't take out all of it. Divine King Kong Bo said, this inheritance is extremely precious. I'm guessing that they will only take out a portion of it. However, even if it's only a portion, it's still a priceless inheritance. It's not for sale. Fellow Taoist, you have to be prepared. Su Yin naturally didn't want the Han family to give up all of their inheritance. However, if he could get a part of it, Su Yin was confident that he would be able to advance to the 7th rank. This was the most important thing. I understand. King Kampa, you don't have to send me off. I'll take my leave first. Su Yin prepared to find a place to study the mysteries of the two items. There were still 10 days before the bet, so he had to prepare. My friend, Please wait a moment. King Kampa hurried after him and said, Miss Bamboo Moon, the star moon fruit you bought earlier is waiting in the lounge of the Grand Avenue auction house. Do you want to go take a look? Bamboo Moon. Suyin clenched his fists. His emotions surged. He nodded at King Kampa and said, All right, I'll have to trouble King Kampa to take me there. It's just a small matter. There's nothing to worry about. King Kampa was curious about the relationship between Su Yin and Bamboo Moon. When King Kampa saw this fairy named Bamboo Moon, he was also stunned. He never expected that the sky bamboo branch would produce such a stunning beauty. Then King Kampa said, By the way, my friend, there's a divine king of the sky bamboo branch beside Miss Bamboo Moon. The two seem to have a subtle relationship. You should pay more attention. King Kampa was very thoughtful. Su Yan's impression of him improved greatly. He said, King Kampa, are you usually only at the Grand Avenue auction house? That's not the case. King Kampa said proudly, The Tao Church has entrusted me with important tasks. I'm in charge of many affairs in the Grand Avenue city. I also have many ordinary matters to attend to. It's been a long time since I've returned to the Tao Church. Haha, King Kampa, you were supposed to be the chief steward of the Tao Church. Su Yan laughed mockingly. You flatter me, you flatter me. King Kampa also smiled proudly. The Tao Church was a powerful force. Anyone who could become the chief steward of the Tao Church's outer sect was definitely someone with real power. It was no wonder that King Kampa dared to reprimand Han Weiran in the auction house. Su Yan estimated that King Kampa's combat strength should be at the peak of the Divine King's level. Generally speaking, if one cultivated to such a level, one would have no hope of becoming a mighty figure without a fortuitous encounter. At the same time, in the lounge of the Grand Avenue auction house, there was also a VIP lounge. The decor was exceptionally luxurious. Among them was a silver-haired old woman. She seemed to be a little impatient from waiting. She glanced at Bamboo Moon and said slowly, Bamboo Moon, that friend of yours is too arrogant. We've waited for so long, but he still hasn't appeared. How long is he going to make us wait? Haha, Elder, Zhu Yongjia said with a gloomy voice. That man spent more than 5,000 kilograms of primal chaos treasure materials to buy the star moon fruit and gave it to Zhu Yu. For such a wealthy man, spending money to wait for a while is nothing. That's true. After all, he spent money. The silver-haired old woman sneered. Zhu Yu's expression changed on the spot. What did they take her for? Their voices were sinister. Elder, if you're impatient from waiting, you can just leave. Zhu Yu stood up and stared at them with her starry eyes. No one told you to wait here. Ha! This matter will affect the reputation of our tribe. Don't let others say that our tribe's pearl is frivolous. The silver-haired old woman sneered. It's just 5,000 kilograms of chaos material. Our tribe doesn't lack that much. Otherwise, it'll be difficult for you to get married. I want to be like Elder and never get married. That would be free. Bamboo Moon suddenly sneered. This caused the silver-haired old woman's expression to turn ugly. When she was young, she had many suitors. However, she was used to having high standards and looked down on ordinary young talents. In the end, she was left behind. The older she got, the less people wanted her. Now, she didn't even have a blood descendant. This had always been a pain in Zhu Yinsai's heart. She never expected that Bamboo Moon would directly point it out. This angered Zhu Yinkai. Just as she was about to angrily rebuke, the door to the private room was pushed open. Bamboo Moon's lily-white hands were tightly clenched. Her sparkling eyes landed on the white-clothed man who walked in. Io, the main character is here. Zhu Yongjia began to examine Su Yan. He wanted to know what kind of superhuman abilities this person had that even Xiaoming dared to ridicule. Little brat, you're really slow. Zhu Yinkai used an unfriendly gaze to examine Su Yan. The Divine King's aura automatically leaked out. Originally, Zhu Yinkai was waiting for Su Yan to come and greet him. She wanted to give Su Yan a show of strength. She might even be able to ask about Su Yan's identity. Who knew that Su Yan treated them like air? He directly took out an armchair from the lounge and placed it on the ground. He said to the prehistoric old man, Big brother, sit. Chapter 9, 61. Zhu Yongjiao's expression was very interesting. Zhu Yincai's temper wasn't good. Su Yin was blatantly ignoring her, so she would definitely ask Zhu Yincai to teach him a lesson. Indeed, Su Yan's action made Zhu Yincai's expression change. She stretched out her trembling finger and pointed at Su Yin. She was so angry that she couldn't say a word. She was the Divine King. If she didn't take a seat in this resting hall, who would dare to be the first to sit down? This is outrageous. Zhu Yincai's aura leaked out, and the Divine King's aura surged, causing the entire resting hall to tremble. This was the activation of the Divine King's force field. It covered the entire resting hall, and its powerful aura was self-evident. Junior, you are so rude. Zhu Yincai's furious voice exploded like thunder, shaking the heaven and earth. The chair in front of the prehistoric Big Brother was about to be destroyed. Moreover, Zhu Yincai released a powerful force field to force the prehistoric Big Brother back. The heavenly bamboo lineage is indeed the heavenly bamboo lineage. Su Yin sighed in his heart. The heavenly bamboo lineage was used to being tyrannical. As the overlord of the chaos ruins, even the life-forbidden zone couldn't threaten them. Zhu Yincai didn't care about Su Yan's identity. In short, Su Yin ignored Zhu Yincai, which made this old woman angry. However, no matter how vast Zhu Yincai's energy was, when it rushed toward the prehistoric Big Brother, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. There wasn't even a trace of energy ripple. Who are you? Zhu Yincai's expression darkened. Her cold eyes looked at this tall man, and her expression was uncertain. This bronze-skinned man was so strong that even a mighty divine king like her could not shake him. Zhu Yincai was on high alert. She stared at this man with messy hair with hostility. You old thing, you start a fight just because you don't agree with me. How dare you say I am rude? Who is the rude one here? Don't you know? Su Yin glanced at Zhu Yincai and coldly shouted, Junior, you are too presumptuous. Zhu Yincai was enraged. Her whole body was rippling with the divine king's airflow, covering the sky and covering the earth. This scene made Su Yan's heart turn cold. This Yincai was really blind. She dared to use force in front of Big Brother Prehistoric. Wasn't she digging her own grave? Ooh, a beam of the divine king's power swept over, seething with radiance and also releasing an immense pressure. However, just as it was about to reach Su Yin, the prehistoric Big Brother swung his sleeve and struck out at this beam of Divine King's power. It seemed like a very casual movement, but in fact, the sleeve of the prehistoric Big Brother seemed to contain the universe of stars. The Divine King's energy instantly disappeared without a trace. Even the entire lounge was silent. Not a single sound was left. The Divine King's domain no longer existed. It had been completely neutralized. Zhu Yongjia was in a daze. He couldn't believe the scene in front of him. This old expert was a little scary. He had neutralized Zhu Yincai's energy attack with just a swing of his sleeve. It seemed a little abnormal. From the beginning to the end, the prehistoric Big Brother was calm. No one knew how strong he was. Even Su Yin didn't know. Who the hell are you? Zhu Yincai's expression finally began to change. She was bewildered as she stared at the prehistoric Big Brother. She couldn't see through this person's identity. However, for an expert to be able to neutralize her attack so easily, his cultivation must be extremely high. You, Zhu Yincai gritted her teeth. Su Yin was treating her like air. The prehistoric Big Brother was even better. He didn't even look at her. He was treating her as if she didn't exist. Bastard. At this moment, Zhu Yincai couldn't suppress the anger in her heart. Vaguely, waves and waves of vast divine might emerge from her body. It made everyone tremble. Even someone as strong as Zhu Yongjia had to kneel on the ground. This divine might suppress one's soul. Moreover, Zhu Yincai's body was spewing out the light of order. Her body seemed to be hiding a killing weapon. Once it was used, it would definitely be a shocking attack. Great Path Divine Weapon. Su Yan's eyes suddenly narrowed. No wonder Zhu Yincai was so confident. She had been secretly controlling the Great Path Divine Weapon. Of course, Zhu Yincai didn't dare to use the Great Path Divine Weapon. This was the city of the Great Path, and they were even in the Great Path auction house. However, even if this Great Path divine weapon was slightly awakened, it was enough to deter all strong enemies. 1. The entire lounge started to shake on its own. Strands of light of order sealed the lounge. Zhu Yin's cold eyes looked at the prehistoric big brother. She sneered and said, "Can you speak now?" Su Yin replied calmly, "Prick up your ears and listen carefully. We are strong cultivators from the Big Dipper bloodline. Are you satisfied with this answer?" "Bastard, a little Hokuto dares to ignore the sky bamboo bloodline. Wait until I suppress you. Then I will deal with this old man." Zhu Yin's expression was cold. How could she not know about the Hokuto? What right did a declining clan have to ignore the strong cultivators from the sky bamboo bloodline? Even when the clan was at its peak, there was still a gap between them and the sky bamboo bloodline. Zhu Yin's body was covered in the light of order. She was secretly activating a saint weapon of a great being. The Great Path saint power that was as vast as the ocean surged and overturned the sky. It contained the supreme power that could suppress the universe. What a Great Path divine weapon! Facing such divine power, Su Yin felt as if his body and soul were being destroyed. He felt as if the sea had evaporated and the sun, moon, and stars had sunk. The Great Path divine weapon's attack covered a corner of the universe. It was enough to suppress all enemies in the world. Even if Su Yin did not fear any strong cultivators below the Divine King, he would be destroyed in one move by the Great Path divine weapon. "Be careful." Bamboo Moon's expression changed. She did not expect Zhu Yinkai to use the Great Path divine weapon. This was the Great Path auction house. If the Tao Temple intervened, Zhu Yinkai would definitely be in trouble. In fact, when Zhu Yinkai used her martial arts, the King Kampa and the others already knew that something had happened in the lounge. However, they did not step out to stop it. What a joke. The powerful cultivators were entrenched here. There was no need for them to intervene. In short, the side that attacked would definitely suffer a great loss. Bam! Just as the blurry light of the Great Tao sacred weapon was about to strike Su Yan's body, it was blocked by a large bronze hand that stretched out from distance. This bronze hand was like an indestructible bronze seal. It was as heavy as the abyss. It caused the power of the Great Path divine weapon that Zhu Yinkai had used to collapse and explode into ashes. What? Zhu Yongjia trembled. Someone blocked the power of the Great Path divine weapon with their bare hands? This person was at least a half-step Great Path divine weapon. Oh no! Zhu Yin's scalp went numb. Although she had only slightly awakened the mighty figure's sacred weapon, it was very likely that the person who could borrow the power of a mighty figure's sacred weapon was a mighty figure. No matter how weak the opponent was, it was a half-step mighty figure with extraordinary means. Zhu Yinkai panicked. She did not dare to stay here any longer. She took Zhu Yongjia and wanted to escape. However, this bronze hand was directly reaching for them. Su Yin was not surprised. The prehistoric big brother was not made of mud. Zhu Yin's repeated provocations had already angered him. The prehistoric big brother's hand was huge. In the eyes of Zhu Yinkai and the others, this hand seemed to have crossed the vast starry sky, passed through the chaos, and arrived in this world. It was right in front of them. Zhu Yin's legs turned to jelly. Her entire body trembled, and her hair stood on end. In front of the giant hand, she felt extremely small. She was even less than an ant. She could collapse at any time. This made Zhu Yinkai want to cry. What kind of expert had they provoked? She, the Divine King, could not withstand the power of the prehistoric big brother's palm. "Senior, please have mercy." Zhu Yongjia's legs trembled. His legs turned to jelly, and he fell straight to the ground. What kind of expert was this? Even the protective seal between Zhu Yongjia's eyebrows did not have the qualifications to be awakened. All resistance was suppressed and dimmed, losing the power that it should have. The prehistoric big brother's palm was terrifying beyond compare. It could easily crush the Divine King to death. "Big brother, don't kill them. Just teach them a lesson." Su Yin spoke. If Zhu Yinkai and Zhu Yongjia died, Bamboo Moon would not be able to stay in the sky bamboo lineage. After all, these two had extremely high statuses in the Sky Bamboo lineage. Once they died, the Sky Bamboo lineage would go crazy. This sentence made Zhu Yongjia and Zhu Yinkai almost cry. They really felt that the prehistoric Big Brother could kill them as easily as killing two ants. Although the prehistoric Big Brother would not kill them, he would still give them an unforgettable lesson. No, Zhu Yinkai screamed. This was because the sacred weapon floating in her body was vibrating on its own. Following that, it began to leave her body uncontrollably. This was a sparkling and translucent war flag that spewed out 5-color divine light. The war flag surface was made from 5 different types of beast skins. If one took a closer look, one would be able to sense the 5 types of heaven-devouring power. Su Yin was moved. This war flag was made from 5 different types of beast skins. Its power was peerless. Once it was fully unleashed, it would be difficult to imagine how vast its divine might would be. Now, the prehistoric Big Brother had directly taken it out of Zhu Yinkai's body. The 5-colored war flag shrunk and turned into a small, sparkling flag. It floated in the void, intertwining with the 5-elemental sacred light. Tens of thousands of light rays of order lingered around it. What kind of terrifying method was this? The sacred weapon of a supreme existence was suppressed to the point where it lost its luster. It couldn't even cause a ripple. Zhu Yinkai trembled in fear. This was the peak sacred weapon of the Sky Bamboo lineage. It was the clan's supreme treasure, and now it was snatched away just like that. The prehistoric Big Brother's eyes emitted a resplendent beam of light, causing Zhu Yinkai's scalp to explode. She immediately fled. She didn't even care about the sacred weapon. Her life was the most important thing now. Zhu Yongjia was also scared to death. He fled in a hurry and made up his mind to never provoke Bamboo Moon again. He didn't expect that there was an unfathomable giant behind Bamboo Moon who could snatch away a supreme existence's sacred weapon so easily. Unbelievable. Outside the resting room, King Kongpa and the others were petrified. They knew that the prehistoric Big Brother was strong, but they didn't expect him to be so strong in his domain. A supreme existence's sacred weapon was snatched away just like that. Could it be that this person stood at the peak of the supreme existence's domain? Supreme existence? How many of them were there in the entire universe? They could be counted with one's fingers. Could it be that the prehistoric Big Brother was such an existence? Chapter 962. Isn't that Zhu Yongjia? Outside the auction house, there was a group of Han clan experts gathered here. The leader, Han Kong, saw Zhu Yongjia running out and quickly asked, Zhu Yongjia, why are you in such a hurry to run out? What happened? Also, have you investigated the mysterious person in the private room? Scram! Zhu Yongjia ran quickly. When he saw Han Kong, he was furious. The reason he had Zhu Yinkai test Su Yin was mostly because of the Han family. Now that Zhu Yongjia saw someone from the Han family, he was about to go crazy. This time, they managed to find out that there was a deity among them. Even their 5-colored war flag was taken away from them. The 5-colored war flag was the Sky Bamboo lineage's most precious treasure. It had been passed down for a long time, and the Sky Bamboo lineage had spent a great deal of effort and time to gather the materials. Finally, the Sky Bamboo lineage invited 3 mighty figures from the outside world to cooperate with 2 mighty figures from the Sky Bamboo lineage. That was a total of 5 mighty figures working together. They had smelted a portion of the peerless treasures and used the beast skins of 5 mighty figures to weave the flag. Finally, the 5 mighty figures worked together and spent a great deal of time to refine the 5-colored war flag. The war flag could be said to be the Sky Bamboo lineage's most precious treasure. It was also one of the top great Tao sacred weapons in the world. But now, it had been taken away in such a simple and violent manner. Zhu Yinkai wanted to cry. She knew very well that no matter how strong the Sky Bamboo lineage was, she knew very well how frightening her prehistoric Big Brother was. How could she report back? She couldn't say that she had tried to suppress a mysterious mighty figure, but he had taken away their treasure in a fit of anger. If she were to say this out loud, The almighty experts of the sky bamboo lineage would probably curse her to the point of spitting out blood. A god king provoking an almighty expert? That was truly courting death. Zhu Yongjia, what is the meaning of this? Hong Kong was so angry that his hair stood on end. He stared at Zhu Yongjia. Damn it, don't you know that my brother-in-law is Qiu Ming? You dare to speak to me in such a tone and even tell me to scram? However, Zhu Yongjia did not have the time to deal with Hong Kong. He had to leave his place first. He could only report this matter to his family. Only by having the family's almighty step forward would he have any hope of getting the five-colored war flag back. Crazy. Is this Zhu Yongjia crazy? Han Kang's face was gloomy. He angrily rebuked the onlookers nearby. What are you looking at? What's there to see? Disperse. Young master, please calm down. Perhaps Zhu Yongjia encountered something unpleasant. Didn't you see him leave in a hurry? An old servant beside him tried to calm him down. How hateful. Hong Kong said with a gloomy face. Watch carefully. Don't let that person escape. I don't believe that he will stay in the Avenue auction house forever. The Han family members all nodded. Qiu Ming had given the order that the humanoid puppet could not be lost. They were now worried that Su Yin would run away. After all, there were still 10 days until the gambling match. Did you see it clearly? I saw it clearly. That is the five-colored war flag. It is one of the most precious treasures of the sky bamboo lineage. I didn't ask you about the five-colored war flag. Did you see how that senior attacked? King Kampa and the others were discussing. They had already begun to pay attention to the fight in the lounge. However, no one saw how the prehistoric big brother suppressed the five-colored war flag. The five-colored war flag is the most precious great Tao sacred weapon. It has a terrifying self-awareness. It is extremely difficult to suppress such an item. Even an almighty would have to spend a certain amount of time to do so. However, this person suppressed the great Tao sacred weapon with his bare hands. The five-colored war flag did not even have the time to awaken the Almighty's foundation. King Kampa felt a headache coming on. Within such a precious treasure, there was definitely the spiritual will of the sky bamboo lineage's elite. However, under the suppression of the prehistoric Big Brother, the Almighty's spiritual will was suppressed to the point that it did not appear. The most ridiculous thing is that he suppressed the great Tao sacred weapon in the blink of an eye. We did not even see how he did it clearly. This almighty Big Brother's combat strength is truly unfathomable. His skills have reached the pinnacle. I have a feeling that this person might have come from a forbidden area. King Kampa and the others were discussing intensely. However, no matter what, they paid more attention to the prehistoric Big Brother. They reckoned that in 10 days, a storm would break out in the great Tao city. I will report the news to the Tao Temple now. Let the elites of the Tao Temple be prepared. Before King Kampa left, he instructed, "You must treat our esteemed guests well. Try your best to satisfy all their requests. Also, pass down the order that no information about them should be leaked. If anything happens, we won't be able to take responsibility." The entire Grand Avenue auction house was filled with guests. Big Brother Prehistoric casually made a move, and it really stunned their minds. As for the lounge, Bamboo Moon's eyes were still filled with shock. He had used such shocking methods to snatch the five-colored war flag. Just how powerful was this person? Then, Bamboo Moon's eyes fell on Su Yin. Su Yin happened to be looking at Bamboo Moon as well. Their eyes met. Bamboo Moon tilted her head slightly and did not look him in the eye. Su Yin felt that Bamboo Moon had changed. Compared to the past, she had an ethereal aura. She was like a fairy from the Moon Palace, graceful and elegant. Her snow-white body was filled with the aura of the great Tao. She was like a real fairy, untainted by the mortal world. Her snow-white body was filled with moonlight, and her starry eyes were shining brightly. She was beautiful beyond compare. "Bamboo Moon, it's me." Su Yin no longer concealed his identity and changed his appearance. "Su Yin." Bamboo Moon's face instantly bloomed with a beautiful smile. It was truly a smile that could topple cities. It made people linger and forget to leave. They could be immersed in it and could not extricate themselves. Her beautiful smile made the world lose its luster. Bamboo Moon's heart was filled with surprise. She did not expect to meet Su Yin in such a situation. This was really a huge surprise for him. Ha ha ha. Su Yin laughed a few times. At the same time, he introduced Bamboo Moon. This is my big brother. I am Bamboo Moon. Bamboo Moon's expression was dignified and beautiful. She walked toward the prehistoric big brother and said respectfully, "Greetings, big brother." The prehistoric big brother gave a rare nod of acknowledgement. Bamboo Moon was also very restrained in front of him. Even a half-step Almighty would suffocate in front of this big brother. Although Bamboo Moon was from the sky bamboo lineage, facing this big brother, she felt like she was facing an abyss. Was this an expert from the burial region race? Bamboo Moon had once gone to the back progenitor, but she did not see this deity there. She knew that the strongest expert of the burial region race was the old leader. That old leader was also frightening, but it was obvious that he was not the same person as the prehistoric big brother. Could it be that the burial region race has two peak almighties overseeing it? Bamboo Moon's expression changed slightly. If that was the case, it would definitely cause a storm. A race overseen by two peak almighties was ridiculously strong. Who would say that the race had declined? Bamboo Moon, this is not the place to talk. Let's go out and find a place, Su Yin said. All right, let's go. Bamboo Moon nodded. Along the way, she pondered for a while and said, "Are you really going to carry out the gambling fight in 10 days? Of course. Su Yan's eyes flashed with killing intent. This Han Weiran had almost killed Bamboo Moon back then. Su Yin would definitely make a move and teach her a lesson on the Great Dao battle platform. What kind of treasure is that human-shaped puppet? Bamboo Moon was curious and asked again, I know Chiu Ming. He is very selfish. If he really wants the human-shaped puppet, he will definitely pay a great price to increase Han Weiran's combat strength. Su Yin, no matter how fast your cultivation speed is, you probably haven't stepped into the realm of God yet, right? Bamboo Moon said directly, why don't you give up on the gambling fight in case you encounter any danger? You shouldn't underestimate a peak realm of God. After all, this realm of God's divine power is extraordinary. They can use many terrifying secret techniques. Bamboo Moon also did not want Su Yin to fight Han Weiran. After all, there was a gap between their realms. Moreover, Chiu Ming would definitely do his best to help Han Weiran increase her strength. She was worried that Su Yin would be in danger. She has a secret technique, and so do I. Bamboo Moon, you don't have to worry. Su Yin said confidently. Even if Han Weiran had a powerful secret technique, Chiu Ming had a heaven-defying secret technique. However, there were some secret techniques that Chiu Ming was willing to pass on to Han Weiran. Su Yin did not believe it at all. Although his realm was not enough, Su Yin had the body-nurturing technique. With such a shocking secret technique in hand, if there was really a need to erupt the power of his physical body that he had sealed, a shocking battle strength would definitely emerge. Although Su Yin had sealed his physical body for a few days, he had bid for many heavenly treasures. During these few days, he would definitely be able to gather a large amount of divine power for his use. It's good that you are confident. The Heavenly Power chapter is indeed very important to you. If you can obtain it, it's also a great thing. Anyway, the feud between you and the Han family cannot be resolved. You don't need this. Bamboo Moon looked at Big Brother Prehistoric. The reason why Su Yin could be so ostentatious in the Great Dao City was definitely because he had Big Brother Prehistoric as his trump card. She felt a lot more relieved. That's right. Su Yin also nodded. If he could take the opportunity to obtain the Heavenly Power chapter, Su Yin was confident that he would be able to step into the 7th stage. At that time, in the Chaos Ruins, he would be able to explore the various dangerous places and reap the benefits. When they were about to reach the main entrance, a veil appeared on Bamboo Moon's face, covering her stunning face. It's him. As soon as Su Yin walked out of the Great Dao auction house, Hong Kong became excited. He would recognize Su Yin even if he turned into ashes. Previously, he had lost a lot of face at the old pub. A group of people from the Han clan came over and surrounded Su Yin from the inside out. Crackle, crackle. Hong Kong clenched his fists and sneered. I don't care if you're Su Yin or not. Anyway, in 10 days, you must go to the Great Tao battle platform. Don't be a coward then. Hong Kong stared at Su Yin as if he was looking at a dead man. Su Yin frowned and said, "What are you all doing here? Get out of my way." Hong Kong sneered, "Kid, if you have the ability, you can still be arrogant on the Great Tao battle platform. Let me tell you, don't even think about running away. You can't leave the Great Tao city. A good dog doesn't block the way." Su Yin shouted. His voice was very loud and spread all around, attracting many people to stop and watch. This was the core street. Han Kang's face was gloomy, and he didn't dare to be too domineering. He said disdainfully, "Let's see how long you can be arrogant. Let's go." Hong Kong was very confident about the battle in 10 days. Xiao Ming had already started to train Han Weiran. In less than 10 days, Han Weiran's combat ability would change drastically. Chapter 963. Hong Kong left, but he instructed a few cultivators under him to follow Su Yin and the rest. They were following Su Yin brazenly wherever he went. Su Yin did not mind at all. Some people were afraid that he would run away, but Su Yin was more worried that they would back out at the last minute. Before his trump card, the prehistoric Big Brother, was exposed, Su Yin would not leave the Great Tao City. Su Yin also felt a sense of urgency. Zhu Yinkai, that old thing, just had to make things difficult for him. In the end, the prehistoric Big Brother attacked in anger and snatched the 5-colored battle flag with his bare hands. Zhu Yinkai and the rest were probably returning to the Sky Bamboo lineage now. Then, the prehistoric Big Brother's strength would be exposed soon. They had been following us. Bamboo Moon frowned slightly. This also meant that the Han family was very confident. She was really worried about the bed in 10 days. Let them be. Don't worry about them. Su Yin acted as if nothing had happened as he wandered around the core streets of the Great Tao City. Bamboo Moon originally wanted to say something, but in the end, she did not. She looked at Su Yin with a pair of bright eyes. She had known Su Yin since she was young. Until now, a few decades had passed. Had Su Yin not experienced enough of the carnage and bloodshed? It could be said that he was a young man who walked out of a primitive planet and had become the top overlord of the younger generation. Su Yin had enough prestige, and Bamboo Moon was now full of confidence in him. Now that she had thought through all this, Bamboo Moon felt much more relaxed. Her temperament was ethereal like a fairy, and her face was covered by a white veil. However, wherever she passed, she still attracted a lot of attention. When they passed by the restaurant where they had been eating and drinking, the prehistoric Big Brother looked over and recalled the fine wine and delicacies. His footsteps slowed down significantly. This scene made Su Yin thicken his skin and ask Bamboo Moon, "Is there a famous restaurant in the Great Tao City?" "There is." Bamboo Moon chuckled. "The most famous restaurant in the Great Tao City is the Heavenly Abode. This restaurant is also an important business of our Sky Bamboo lineage. It's not far from here." "That's great." Su Yin's heart skipped a beat. He chuckled and said, "I see that Big Brother is also tired. Why don't we go to the Heavenly Abode and sit for a while?" "I was just about to go to the Heavenly Abode." Bamboo Moon smiled at Big Brother Prehistoric. "Big Brother, the Heavenly Abode has a lot of delicious food. This little girl also has some authority in the Heavenly Abode. I can definitely arrange a sumptuous dinner." Su Yin was now embarrassingly short of money. He did not even have much primal chaos treasure left on him, let alone a meal. He was afraid that he would not even be able to enter the Heavenly Abode. Will it harm Bamboo Moon? Su Yin's expression changed as well. He smiled bitterly in his heart. With his prehistoric Big Brother stomach, it wouldn't be enough even if he ate for a year. However, Su Yin thought again in his heart. If Big Brother is happy, he might pass on some secret arts and divine abilities to Bamboo Moon. It would be of great help to Bamboo Moon's cultivation. Thinking of this, Su Yin hurriedly urged Bamboo Moon to go. With the prehistoric Big Brother's terrifying level, Bamboo Moon would naturally do her best to arrange it. If a mighty expert really wanted to find someone to spend money to treat him, then the rulers of the major peak clans would fight to be the first to come. The Heavenly Abode was indeed the most famous restaurant in the Great Tao City. However, the expenses of the Heavenly Abode were not something that ordinary people could afford. Even if it was an ordinary divine king who treated him, he would hesitate for a long time before going to the heavenly abode. Before arriving at the heavenly abode, Su Yin had already smelled an enticing aroma accompanied by the fragrance of wine. The heavenly abode was extremely imposing. It occupied an entire street, and the entire heavenly abode seemed to be situated in the clouds. There was an endless stream of people coming and going. Those who could come to the heavenly abode to spend money had to have a high status. However, even though the heavenly abode was expensive, there were still many cultivators who came. There were many cultivators who came to spend money, and there were even heavenly deity stage powerhouses everywhere. Even mighty experts like the Divine King were frequent customers. For example, the heavenly abode would have a mighty experts banquet every once in a while. A mighty experts banquet was a banquet that a mighty expert would treat everyone. The expenses would easily be a terrifying 50,000 kilograms of chaos treasures. Of course, there were all kinds of exotic delicacies, many of which were made from the flesh of divine beasts. Many people had never even seen them before. The entrance of the heavenly abode was grand and majestic. There were groups of beautiful women welcoming guests, welcoming them into the heavenly abode. Bamboo Moon directly took out a sky bamboo disciple's identity token and handed it to one of the welcoming women. The woman's expression changed drastically when she saw the token, and she was about to kneel on the ground. No need for formalities. Bamboo Moon's slender hand reached out and helped the woman up. She smiled and said, "Arrange a quiet room for us." "Yes, young Mississippi." The woman quickly nodded with a frightened expression. Clearly, she was shocked by the identity token that Bamboo Moon took out. The heavenly abode was the property of the sky bamboo lineage, but the lineage's disciples rarely appeared in the heavenly abode. The identity token that Bamboo Moon took out was equivalent to the elder token of the sky bamboo lineage. It was extremely powerful, and one could even enjoy a 50% discount when eating in the heavenly abode. Under the guidance of the woman, they stepped through the heavenly abode's entrance and came to the interior. What entered their sight was a garden built with precious flowers and trees. There was heavenly music here, and there were also beautiful women dancing. Su Yin sighed at the grandeur of the heavenly abode. After passing through the garden, they could see many jade palaces. The layout of the buildings was quite orderly. They were built according to a kind of large-scale formation diagram that could gather the essence of the 8 desolaces into the heavenly abode. Su Yan's group went to a courtyard built in the core area. The atmosphere was tranquil, and there was a formation that isolated the bustling atmosphere of the outside world. Without a doubt, this was one of the few private rooms in the heavenly abode. It even had a secret cultivation room. In the past, there were even almighty banquets set up here. The Divine King's Banquet. Bamboo Moon's words were shocking, and the woman who led them in was shocked. The Divine King's Banquet was a luxurious set meal that was second only to the almighty banquet in the heavenly abode. It easily required more than 10,000 kilograms of primordial materials. Of course, there were also different prices. However, Bamboo Moon directly asked for the best Divine King's Banquet, and the price was 10,000 kilograms of primordial materials. With Bamboo Moon's status, she only needed to spend 2,500 kilograms of primordial materials. However, this price was also frightening. Su Yin whispered, "I say, Bamboo Moon, isn't this too expensive? Although there is a 50% discount, 5,000 kilograms of primordial materials. This is not like you who spent a lot of money at the auction." Bamboo Moon glanced at Su Yin and chuckled. She then said, "The price is a bit expensive, but the 50% discount makes it worth it. Furthermore, we have to entertain Big Brother. We can't be stingy." Su Yin scratched his head. He was now penniless. He even wanted to say that the prehistoric Big Brother had a huge appetite. He was afraid that the Divine King's Banquet would not be enough. Before they could say anything, a large group of stewards came to the restaurant. The Sky Bamboo lineage's legacy disciples had arrived, and they all hurriedly came to greet them. Su Yin felt strange. These stewards were very flattering. One after another, they brought over many good things. They were all precious wine and dishes cooked with precious ingredients. Zhu Yu didn't stand on ceremony. She didn't reveal herself or show her true face. Although the stewards were curious, they didn't dare ask. The identity of the sky bamboo lineage is really shocking. Su Yin was amazed. He did not expect Bamboo Moon to become a legacy disciple of the sky bamboo lineage. Her status in the family was probably not low. Furthermore, Bamboo Moon had also obtained the Star Moon fruit. In the future, she was very confident that she could become the Divine King. Waiting for Bamboo Moon to step into this stage, then she would have a greater say in the sky bamboo lineage. Not long after, a large number of dishes were served. The Heavenly Abode's dishes were all very exquisite. Every dish contained a faintly discernible Tao connotation. Su Yin was moved, as expected of the chef of the Heavenly Abode. Just the utensils used to cook the delicacies were impressive. Su Yin tasted a few dishes. Indeed, they were much better than the ones they ate at the restaurant. Moreover, these dishes contained a shocking Tao energy that overflowed in one's body. The Divine King's banquet was not something an ordinary person could afford. This was a menu that was specially made for the Divine King. It contained boundless energy. Bamboo Moon took off her veil, revealing her beautiful face. She drank a few cups of wine, and two bright red spots floated on her snow-white cheeks. Bamboo Moon smiled gently. It could be said that a smile could charm 100 people. Her white teeth were sparkling, and her appearance was peerless. "What are you smiling about?" Su Yin was amused when he saw Bamboo Moon's graceful appearance. "I'm just a little emotional." Bamboo Moon pursed her bright red lips and said softly, "I don't know what will happen in the future. Why are you saying this? Do you know something?" Su Yin frowned. Bamboo Moon was from the sky bamboo lineage. What she heard and saw was unknown to the cultivators of the outside world. "Nothing." Bamboo Moon shook her head slightly. Her sparkling black hair fluttered slightly. She wore a silver robe, and her snow-white skin flowed with moonlight. She was indescribably beautiful. "I heard." Su Yin hesitated for a moment. He glanced at the prehistoric big brother and said in a deep voice, "I heard that a mighty figure of your sky bamboo lineage died many years ago." Bamboo Moon was not surprised. This matter had not happened too long ago, and the news had spread in the outside world. She clenched her slender hands and looked at Su Yin. "He didn't die, but the situation is terrible. The mighty figure's body has been rotting." Su Yin's eyes flashed with a cold light. Back then, he had walked out of the Milky Way and used the universe bridge to cross the universe. However, along the way, he had encountered a rotting hand and almost lost his life. Even my clan's supreme treasure could not contain the injuries. If this continues, the mighty figure will not be able to withstand it. I don't know what kind of evil things happened. There are many things that are not public, and I don't know much. Bamboo Moon looked at Su Yin and asked, "The battle back then was said to be led by the powerhouse behind the scenes of your Burial Realm clan." Su Yin laughed. If Bamboo Moon knew that person was sitting right next to her, who knew what she would think of Bamboo Moon? Back then, the prehistoric big brother had killed his way into a mysterious place and caused a great battle. Later on, it had led to a series of tragedies. If the prehistoric big brother had not acted, Su Yin felt that he would no longer exist. Just what kind of terrifying leader was that? Su Yin found it hard to imagine that a mighty figure had accidentally entered and almost died. "Su Yin, do you know the origin of your clan?" Bamboo Moon's sudden words stunned Su Yin. He stared at Bamboo Moon and said, "Do you know something? If you know something, don't hide it from me." "What I know is limited." Bamboo Moon asked, "Do you know what the Celestial Quartz Remnant clan is?" Su Yin's heart was in turmoil. Bamboo Moon knew about the Celestial Quartz Remnant clan. Before Su Yin could even ask, the aura of the prehistoric big brother changed slightly. His long gray hair danced in the wind, revealing a face that had experienced many vicissitudes of life. In particular, his deep eyes were like two condensed universes that were shining. Clearly, the Celestial Quartz Remnant clan had touched the prehistoric big brother greatly. The Nine Heavens Divine Sovereign. Chapter 964. Obviously, The words remnant of the celestial court had greatly affected the prehistoric Big Brother. This made Su Yin unable to calm down. Could it be that the prehistoric Big Brother's origin was so ancient that it could be traced back to the era of the celestial court? Impossible. Su Yan's face was filled with shock as he muttered in his heart. After all, that era was too far away. Even the celestial planet no longer had legend about it, let alone a mysterious era that happened before the celestial planet. Back then, the celestial court's hundreds of millions of soldiers and horses set out on an expedition. They followed a terrifying path and charged into a mysterious world. He still vaguely remembered the prehistoric scenes left behind on the God Burial Mountain. They seemed to be following someone, or looking for someone, or going to war. In short, the endless army of the celestial court never returned. Su Yin guessed that those who remained were the remnant of the celestial court's so-called remnant of the celestial court. Perhaps when a large number of the celestial court's soldiers left, a new era, the era of the celestial planet, had arrived. It was unknown how long it had existed. When the demons invaded, the celestial planet collapsed, and the Zhongyu clan was born. Bamboo Moon's eyes fell on the prehistoric Big Brother. She had a feeling that the legends were true. Perhaps the Zhongyu clan really had an inseparable relationship with the remnant of the celestial court. Why did you mention the remnant of the celestial court? Su Yin asked in a heavy tone. This was also very important to him. I heard from the experts of my family that your clan is related to the remnant of the celestial court, Bamboo Moon said, but I don't know much about the remnant of the celestial court. Hearing this, Su Yin quickly said, Did you mention the celestial court? Bamboo Moon shook her head. She had never heard of the mysterious celestial court. The legends about the celestial court were only spread among the later progenitor. It was a legend among legends. Could it be? Su Yin had a bold guess. Could it be that during the glorious era of the celestial court, the progenitor had already been born? Could it be that the Zhongyu clan was actually a force formed by the descendants of the celestial court, and over time, they were called the Zhongyu clan? Su Yin wanted to get to the bottom of this historical mystery. He always felt that his tribe was closely related to the ancient celestial court. My clan said that the buried region clan's history is difficult to trace back to. Their history is incalculable. Bamboo Moon suddenly looked at Su Yin and said gravely, They also said that the reason they're called the Buried Regions clan is because they sealed the sky extinction lands and did heaven-defying things. Because of some special reasons, there is some karma involved, as well as some ancient grudges. Bamboo Moon vaguely pointed out that the clan would be in big trouble in the future. This era of the universe was not simple. Perhaps there would be unprecedented changes. Could it be that my clan is really related to the celestial court? Or is it a force that was passed down from the celestial court? Su Yan's mood was complicated. He thought to himself, back then, an army of billions followed a path and left their homeland, heading to a mysterious world to fight. We are a clan that was left behind to protect our homeland. He suddenly sneered. If it was really as he guessed, then the Buried Region clan could be said to have been defeated, right? However, Su Yin shook his head. They had not been defeated yet. The Buried Region clan still existed, and their bloodline was still passed down. You don't have to worry about me. Su Yin saw the worry in Bamboo Moon's eyes. He walked forward and said, Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir. No matter what happens in the future, we still have to face what we have to face. I want to know where the battle back then took place. Realm C. If the Immortal Graveyard is the #1 land of danger in the Primal Chaos ruins, then the Realm C is the most mysterious place in the universe. Bamboo Moon told Su Yin the answer he wanted. This made Su Yin sink into contemplation. This was the first time he heard about the Realm C. But Su Yin knew very well that the Realm C might very well hide the Immortal Star. If he had the chance, he definitely had to go to the Realm C to take a look. Realm C, where is it? Su Yin asked curiously. Hearing this, Bamboo Moon shook her head and said, I don't know. The Realm C is the most mysterious place in the world. Normally, even powerful experts don't dare to trespass there. And there are very few things about the realm sea that have been passed down in the cultivation world. Su Yin was astonished. With Bamboo Moon's identity, she actually didn't know the destination of the realm sea. This place was truly astonishing. He drank a few cups of fine wine. The fine wine and delicacies of the Divine King's banquet all contained astonishing energy. Su Yan's corporeal body had a tendency of not being able to endure it. However, Su Yin used the body-nurturing technique to devour the great Tao essence and store it in his corporeal body. Prepare well, don't think about other things. Bamboo Moon was a bit drunk, so she didn't use her divine power to refine it. Her cheeks were flushed red, her beauty radiating in all directions. She said softly to Su Yin, "Is there anything special about that puppet? I almost forgot something important." Su Yin composed himself and took out the Chinquin stone first. Bamboo Moon was astonished. Could it be that this thing was special? The appraisal grandmasters of this great Tao auction house had extremely sinister eyes. It was one thing for the humanoid puppet to make a mistake, but could it be that the universe stone also made a mistake? Su Yin smiled mysteriously at her. He stared at the universe stone and studied it. This thing was contaminated by the blood of an expert, emitting a type of bitter aura. It was lying on Su Yan's hand, so much so that it felt like it was cutting his hand. The prehistoric Big Brother directly reached out his hand and took the universe stone. "Big Brother, what good stuff is hidden inside?" Su Yin hurriedly moved closer. Bamboo Moon also watched with widened eyes. This universe stone's value is also extremely high. However, the prehistoric Big Brother's following actions made Bamboo Moon's forehead faintly produce black lines. Gotcha! It was because the prehistoric Big Brother's fingers exerted force and actually crushed the universe stone. This was too much of a waste. At the same time, Bamboo Moon was shocked. This thing was an item used to forge a supreme expert's sacred weapon. The prehistoric Big Brother directly crushed it. Just how strong was it? However, within the crushed Chinquin stone, a golden light suddenly shone brightly, illuminating the entire room. "There's another substance inside." Bamboo Moon was moved. These were drops of golden liquid that flowed out from the universe stone. Each drop was as resplendent as the blazing sun, burning fiercely. It was as if small suns had flown out. 12 drops of golden liquid, as resplendent as the blazing sun. The more he looked at it, the more he realized that the golden liquid was like a terrifying golden eye floating in the void, causing the universe to tremble. Bamboo Moon was pleasantly surprised. Her expression was jubilant like a happy child. She revealed a smile. "There's stone bile hidden in the universe stone. This is a divine liquid that's hard to find in the world. You've really struck gold. Using such a little chaos treasure, you've obtained a shocking amount of wealth." Stone bile. Su Yin was a little confused. He didn't know what it was. "This item is not inferior to the universe mother liquid." Bamboo Moon smiled excitedly at Su Yin. "Its effects are even extremely shocking. According to ancient records, when a universe stone reaches a certain age, it can produce stone bile. This stone bile contains the profound mysteries of seeing through the changes of the universe." "It's the divine eye liquid?" Su Yin clenched his fists, his eyes shining. What kind of treasure was the universe stone? The stone bile fluid it produced would definitely be enough to shock the world. To be precise, even many ancient supreme experts had never seen this item. This was because it was too rare. After a long period of precipitation, this universe stone had gathered its energy essence into the stone bile. Once it was absorbed and refined, one could imagine how shocking it would be. Without waiting for Su Yin and Bamboo Moon to discuss, the prehistoric Big Brother pointed his finger, and drop after drop of stone bile shot into Su Yan's eyeballs. In one exchange, Su Yin felt a piercing pain in his eyes. It was as if they were pierced by a raging fire. He couldn't help but hold his head and cry out in pain. However, his face was distorted because it was too painful. His eyes were really pierced and burned. This kind of pain was extremely difficult to bear. It affected Su Yan's soul. "Bear with it. It'll be over soon. Once you cultivate and awaken the universe eye, It will be one of the largest divine eyes in the world. Bamboo Moon hurriedly walked over to comfort him, who knew that before she could finish speaking, the prehistoric Big Brother directly injected the remaining drops of golden stone bile into Bamboo Moon's starry eyes. Bamboo Moon also felt pain. Blood flowed out of her eyes. Her beautiful body was paralyzed on the ground, trembling. Bamboo Moon, what's wrong with you? In the midst of the pain, Su Yin heard Bamboo Moon scream. Su Yin stretched out his hand like a blind man and quickly touched a soft body. In a moment of desperation, Su Yin didn't have the time to think. His palm could feel Bamboo Moon's delicate body trembling. I'm fine. Bamboo Moon gritted her teeth. She was paralyzed on the ground. Her black hair was scattered, and her eyes were in so much pain that it almost pierced her soul. Just like that, the two blind men were in pain and nervous. They were really worried that their eyes would go blind. Don't be afraid. Big Brother knows what he's doing. This time, it was Su Yan's turn to comfort Bamboo Moon. His palms scratched everywhere and touched some soft parts that he shouldn't touch. Bamboo Moon's body was soft, as if it was made of water. She was extremely charming. It could be said that she had celestial skin and jade bones. I'm fine, don't run around. Bamboo Moon's cheeks were slightly red. She had always guarded her body like jade and had never been in close contact with other men, let alone now being in such close contact with Su Yin. Su Yin was relieved. He wasn't in the mood to think about other things. He tried his best to calm down. Although his eyes were in pain, Su Yin felt that the heaven and earth stone bile contained an astonishing substance. It was beginning to penetrate Su Yan's eyeballs. Su Yin felt that his eyes were about to explode, but he also felt that his eyes had become magnificent. It was a very contradictory feeling. In short, he gathered his courage and swallowed the energy of the stone bile. The pain was gradually alleviated. Slowly, Su Yin felt that his eyes were boiling. There was a kind of extreme heat that was about to disintegrate. Boom! His ears roared. He really felt that his eyes were about to explode. But after a burst of heaven and earth, he caught a terrifying Tao fruit. It was as if he had seen through the changes of heaven and earth. He felt a kind of profound power that was born from the creation of heaven and earth. Heaven and earth splitting open. Su Yan's eyes trembled. He had comprehended the important changes of heaven and earth. Su Yan's eyes suddenly opened. It was as if the fiery eyes of truth had appeared. They shot out two rays of light. It was like a brilliant light that cut through the void. The waterfall that shot out seemed as if it would pierce through the stars of the universe. His eyes blazed like two balls of heaven and earth fire. The world had changed. Su Yin seemed to have seen through the essence of the world. He could see the essence qi floating in the air. He could even see through the protective array of the courtyard and see the people and things in the entire heavenly abode. Su Yin was in a daze. He was silent. In the short period of light, the expressions of many powerhouses in the heavenly abode changed. They faintly felt that a terrifying existence was secretly watching them. Without a doubt, the heaven and earth I was too strong. It made many powerhouses in the heavenly abode uneasy because it was difficult to find the source. Ha ha ha! Su Yin laughed in his heart. Moreover, he had restrained the heaven and earth eyes observation technique. He was worried that the powerhouses would see through it. Su Yan's face was suffused with a smile. When his gaze stopped in the private room, he was petrified. This was because a graceful and noble woman was sitting cross-legged in front of him. Under the heaven and earth eyes insight, a beautiful and delicate body was revealed in Su Yan's eyes. 9 Heaven's Divine Sovereign. Chapter 965. Time seemed to come to a standstill. It was almost impossible to find the words to praise Bamboo Moon. Her skin was smooth and supple, and she exuded endless charm. A pair of snow-white, slender legs were crossed, and her slender waist was so slender that it could be held with one arm. Her curves rose and fell, and her snow-white skin was suffused with moonlight. This was a perfect and peerless figure that appeared in Su Yan's eyes. Even though she appeared naked in Su Yan's eyes, there was still a dignified dignity that couldn't be profaned. She was still so graceful and elegant, and her beauty was peerless. She was as quiet as an orchid. At this time, Bamboo Moon's eyes also opened. They were equally shocking and terrifying. The universal eye was the strongest eye of heaven in the world. Once cultivated, one could control the changes of the universe and see through the universe. It was terrifying and ever-changing. She knew about the mysteries of the universal eye beforehand, so she didn't wantonly observe the heavenly abode's actions. After all, even great figures of various races wouldn't recklessly use their eyes of heaven to observe the heavenly abode's actions. This would easily arouse disgust. Bamboo Moon revealed a smile. She never imagined that she would encounter such a fortuitous encounter. This was a great opportunity that even the peak divine king was envious of. Even the peak races had spent a great deal of effort to help their younger generation cultivate their eyes of heaven. After all, once one cultivated a powerful eye of heaven, they could seize the initiative in a battle between their peers. But the universal eye was one of the strongest eyes of heaven in the world, and its effects were even more heaven-defying. The prehistoric Big Brother had sharp eyes. He had dug out a total of 12 drops of universal stone that Su Yin had bought. If this item was really put up for auction in the Great Tao auction house, the price would be terrifying. If it was split into two groups, the price of each group wouldn't be any less than hundreds of thousands of chaos treasures. The price might even be more ridiculous. After all, this item was extremely important to the younger generation. When the time came, the Northern Monster and the others would risk their lives to bid for it. To them, it wasn't inferior to the mighty figure battle armor or the golden indestructible pill. But for Su Yin, he was proficient in the mystic arts. Now that he had cultivated the Cosmos Eye, it was enough for him to reach a terrifying level in the mystic arts domain. In terms of divine eyes, he might have even surpassed the peak divine king. But when Bamboo Moon's eyes landed on Su Yin, she realized that Su Yin was staring at her in a daze. Bamboo Moon's face almost collapsed. Su Yin suddenly came back to his senses and stood up. He stretched his body and said, "I've been in seclusion for a few days. My legs are a bit stiff." Bamboo Moon's face darkened. She had the urge to beat up Su Yin. However, Bamboo Moon was thinking whether she could still suppress Su Yin. Where did Big Brother go? Su Yin found an excuse to slip out. He couldn't bear Bamboo Moon's resentful gaze. Just as he opened the door, Su Yin heaved a sigh of relief. He was really worried that the prehistoric Big Brother would mysteriously disappear. It was already the most critical moment. Once the old man left, Su Yin would have no choice but to run. Bamboo Moon also walked out. She noticed that the prehistoric Big Brother was studying the humanoid puppet. She was also curious. For Qiuming to care so much about something, it must be something extraordinary. And this top mighty figure was actually studying the puppet. This meant that the humanoid puppet wasn't simple. Its value probably exceeded the Cosmos Stone Bile. The humanoid puppet stood in the courtyard, emanating a terrifying aura. It was like a living creature that looked down on the world. Its tall body emitted a terrifying light. It was filled with a heavy, mysterious, and domineering aura. It really didn't look like a puppet. "Big Brother, is there any hope of repairing this puppet?" Su Yin went up and asked. The prehistoric Big Brother nodded. He also cared about this puppet. This response surprised Su Yin. He asked, "What materials do you need? Big Brother, can you repair it? How strong is the puppet's true strength?" "It's difficult." The prehistoric Big Brother couldn't say, but he commented, "It's from the Uncanny Workmanship series. It's a top-notch puppet." It was rare for the prehistoric Big Brother to say so much. There seemed to be a smile on his weathered face. He seemed to be pleasantly surprised by this kind of bargain. If this item was measured by its value, it would be a rare treasure in the world. Moreover, if the value of the puppet was publicized and it was still being auctioned, it would no longer be a simple auction. This was an item that was hard to find in the world, and it was enough to cause a terrifying bloodbath. The Great Tao City might even be sunk. Uncanny workmanship. Bamboo Moon's face turned pale. It was obvious that she had heard of this lost forging technique. At this moment, Bamboo Moon understood. No wonder Qiuming valued it so much. It turned out that this puppet was related to the legendary uncanny workmanship. Uncanny workmanship? You know about it too? Su Yin was surprised. Bamboo Moon glared at Su Yin and smiled at the prehistoric Big Brother. Big Brother, I know about this uncanny workmanship forging technique. It's hard to trace its origin. My clan once found some records in the incomplete universe. It said that this is the strongest forging technique in the world. It's a pity that it wasn't passed down. Su Yin shrugged helplessly and agreed. Big Brother said that it's a top-notch puppet. Bamboo Moon's expression kept changing. She felt that the prehistoric Big Brother was wrong. This was because, according to historical records, this series of top-notch puppets seemed to be heaven-defying items. She didn't know how strong they were, but this thing was still damaged. It was very difficult to repair it. She didn't know if it could still be done one day. Su Yin observed the humanoid puppet with the eye of the universe. He couldn't see what secrets this puppet had. He didn't know how the prehistoric Big Brother could see its uniqueness and extraordinariness. Of course, even if it was damaged, the materials used to forge it were still materials that were hard to find in the world. Wong! Su Yan's figure passed through the void and merged with the humanoid puppet in an instant. At this moment, Su Yan's aura changed. It was as if a demon god was born. His long black hair danced in the wind. His whole body rippled with a peerless strength that could tear the sky apart. This was definitely the strength of the Divine King. His aura could swallow mountains and rivers, and his roar could shake the starry sky. Su Yin felt as if he could shatter the sea. Without a doubt, when he merged with the puppet, Su Yin felt as if he had transformed into a divine king who could fight for supremacy over the world. It had to be said that the Divine King's strength possessed a perverse allure. What a powerful puppet! Su Yin was flabbergasted. Even if it wasn't a puppet forged by the Divine Craftsmanship series and was just an ordinary puppet, Su Yin felt that it was worth it even if he had to spend tens of thousands of kilograms of chaos materials. This item was extremely important to Su Yin. However, after circulating the puppet's strength for a while, Su Yan's expression changed. He discovered that the Divine King's energy released by the puppet was rapidly decreasing. It's lacking driving energy. Bamboo Moon saw through the clues. She said, normally, puppets require energy crystals to drive. If this puppet wants to maintain its combat strength for a long period of time, it must consume a great deal of resources. Su Yin took out hundreds of kilograms of chaos liquid and sprinkled it over the human-shaped puppet. At this time, the human-shaped puppet's aura suddenly changed. It was as if it had a life of its own. As it breathed in and out, its entire body glowed as if it had a body of flesh and blood. Its pores spat out the power of chaos liquid, restoring some of its withered functions. As expected, the declining Divine King's energy began to rise sharply. This caused Su Yin to laugh heartily. This puppet was truly extraordinary. With this Divine King puppet in hand, even a Divine King-level expert wouldn't be able to do anything to Su Yin. He familiarized himself with the puppet's abilities here. This puppet had perfectly merged with Su Yin. It could even move according to Su Yan's will and control the intensity of the puppet's eruption of energy. However, the consumption was enormous. Over 100 drops of chaos liquid were used up in just half a cup of tea's time. Another burning treasury. Su Yin smiled helplessly. This thing was too expensive. The consumption was already so shocking even before the battle. If the puppet's combat power was fully unleashed, the consumption of the puppet would definitely soar by more than 10 times. If it really fought a big battle, the consumption of resources would be a bottomless pit. Fortunately, Su Yin still had a large amount of chaos liquid on him. Back then, when he extorted the Divine Firmament sect, Su Yin had sealed up a large amount of chaos liquid. Buzz! With a thought, Su Yin separated from the puppet. He had an illusion that he had fallen from the Divine King level to the Divine Spirit level. Su Yin was slightly dazed. This thing was really terrifying. It could affect one's state of mind. I need to cultivate in seclusion for a few days. The time of the battle is getting closer and closer. Su Yin still had more than a dozen kinds of heavenly treasures on him. He was prepared to use these treasures to strengthen the accumulation of his body-nurturing technique. Su Yin had already sealed his physical body. Even if they fought on the Great Tao battle platform, Unless it was a critical moment, Su Yin would not use the power of his physical body. Now that Su Yin had cultivated the eye of the universe, he was very confident in this battle. Under the state of the eye of the universe, even the Divine King's speed would be reduced, not to mention a mere peak heavenly god expert. Su Yin went directly to the cultivation room and took out the void herb garden. He planted all the natural treasures he had on him in the medicinal field in the void. Soon, over 100 kinds of rare and precious medicines were planted in this 10 feet wide medicinal field. Many of the herbs were harvested by Su Yin previously. He was not willing to sell them. Now that there were more than 100 herbs planted in the herb garden, it was a bit shocking in a short time. The herb garden shone, and the herbs were breathing on their own. They were filled with a vigorous source of life, filling the entire cultivation room with vitality. Su Yin entered the art of body nurturing cultivation. As he breathed in and out, his sealed body stretched and began to contain the power of the source of the herbs. It was a very special and wonderful feeling. Su Yin's physical body seemed to have started to mutate. There was a kind of life stone, an aura of nurturing the strongest living being permeating the air. Time flew. The Han family had been monitoring Su Yin's every move. He went to the best private room in the heavenly abode. We can't go in to investigate. A spy came to report that in Xiao Ming's official residence, many members of the Han family were relieved. As long as Su Yin did not leave the city of the Great Tao, it would be fine. I don't think he is Su Yin. If he really is Su Yin, he wouldn't dare to take the risk in the city of the Great Tao. An old expert of the Han family speculated, and it was agreed by many experts. It doesn't matter if he is or not. We must get the puppet. Han Kong sneered and said, "My brother-in-law spent a lot of effort to help him. This person doesn't have long to live. I really don't know what's so special about the puppet that my brother-in-law values it so much. Seems like I've only updated 3 chapters. I'm in tears." This book came from Chapter 966. But now in the city of the Great Tao, news of the bet at the Great Tao auction house began to spread, causing a huge uproar. The Heavenly Force chapter and the humanoid puppet are betting. It said that the humanoid puppet is a dusty treasure. Even Xiao Ming is very concerned about it. This bet is really shocking. With the Tao Temple overseeing it, a fair battle is even held on the Great Tao battle stage. Even Xiao Ming is involved. It seems that he's determined to get the puppet. I wonder who the mysterious person is. How dare he challenge Xiao Ming? Doesn't he know what kind of existence Xiao Ming, the god of war, is? The city of the Great Tao was bustling. This bet had attracted guests from all over. No matter how valuable the puppet was, the Heavenly Force chapter that had been passed down in the Han family for a long time was the top inheritance in the cultivation world of the universe. Even the major tribes didn't have this kind of inheritance. Only the Han family had it. Now that the Han family had taken out this scripture for a bet, it caused a huge uproar. All the important figures of the various tribes wanted to come and watch the battle. In Xiao Ming's official residence, in a secret room where he was cultivating in seclusion, a vast amount of life essence was constantly bubbling. Xiao Ming was like a supreme god. His pores spewed out rich essence power. Just a small amount of essence blood leaked out, but it already affected the void and blurred the world. It seemed like the world was heading towards destruction. Buzz! Strands of life essence leaked out and quickly penetrated Han Weiron's body, causing her aura to constantly strengthen. Because of the tempering of Xiao Ming's life essence, Han Weiron's cultivation foundation began to strengthen. Every day, Han Weiron's strength was improving by leaps and bounds. She was forging the path of the Divine King. It's been 7 days and 7 nights. Xiao Ming's eyes suddenly opened. He had paid a huge price. With his own life essence, he had laid a shocking foundation for Han Weiran. He had forcibly raised her combat strength by a level. In the future, she would even be able to climb the Divine King faster. No ordinary person would dare to do such a thing. Not even the peak Divine King would dare to do such a thing. But Xiao Ming was different. He was standing in his golden age, standing in his prime. His blood essence was exuberant to the extreme, so a bit of loss was not a big deal to him. Xiaoming also had the confidence to win. Since the end of the auction, he had ordered his subordinates to go home and fetch the ancient books about the workmanship of the gods. Although it was recorded in the foundational ancient records, the series of uncanny workmanship was also exceptionally high. Having said that, even if it was a puppet that was smithied using the uncanny workmanship art, it was still extremely precious and was worth fighting for. There were even records of top-notch puppets that had been created by the gods. This was a top secret, and not even the Taoist church had kept such a huge secret. However, Xiaoming didn't really believe in the top-notch puppets recorded in the book because it was too outrageous and terrifying. It was absolutely impossible for such a strange thing to exist. He immediately rejected the idea that Su Yan's puppets were definitely not top-notch. Dong dong. Someone knocked on the chamber's door. With a thought from Xiaoming, the chamber's door opened. An ancient object flew in from the open door. It was a purple object with a dim luster. It had existed for a very long time. It was a large purple seal that emanated the light of the great Tao. This is a treasure of my clan. Han Weiran snapped out her daze. She was pleasantly surprised. She knew a lot about the treasures of the Han family. This seal was especially amazing and had always been stored in the treasury. Now, the Han family had taken out this supreme treasure for Han Weiran to win in one fell swoop. Boom! Han Weiran flicked her sleeve, and the dim purple seal instantly lit up. The sun, moon, and stars inscribed on the surface of the seal suddenly shone. The brief brilliance caused the secret art to gently sway. The purple seal contained an extremely vast amount of energy. The seal seemed to transform into a giant purple mountain. The sun, moon, and stars revolved around the seal. The seal was pushed to its limits. The sun, moon, and stars filled the sky as they revolved around the seal. It was filled with a peerless strength that could suppress gods and demons. The seal of sun, moon, river, and mountain. Han Weiran's eyes were cold. She said, "My clan also has the sun, moon, river, and mountain painting. Although it's just the embryo of a supreme treasure, its value exceeds the seal of sun, moon, river, and mountain painting. That damn Su Yin stole from my clan. I really hope that person is Su Yin." Han Weiran stretched out her hand, and the seal of sun, moon, river, and mountain landed in her palm. With this item in hand, she could crush a heavenly god in one move. If Han Weiran's cultivation was strong enough, she could even rely on the seal of sun, moon, river, and mountain to suppress an ordinary divine king cultivator. Of course, with Han Weiran's combat ability, it was probably impossible for her to unleash the seal of sun, moon, river, and mountain to its limit. However, it could soar to the level of a heavenly god. It was enough for her to display her might on the great Tao battle platform. This treasure is not bad. Xiaoming flicked his sleeve, and an ancient leather drum floated in the void. The leather drum was dark red. It was hard to tell how powerful it was. Xiaoming said to Han Weiran, "Weiran, I'll let you use this mind-assimilating drum for a while." The mind-assimilating drum? Han Weiran looked at the leather drum. She said, "Brother Xiaoming, I have a primordial spirit treasure." Xiaoming smiled mysteriously. The power of his primordial spirit scattered from his glabella and directly hit the mind-assimilating drum. This leather drum looked ordinary, but when it was hit, a strange energy immediately resounded. When it reached Han Weiran's ears, she really felt as if endless thunder and lightning were exploding in her sea of consciousness. At this moment, the secret treasure that guarded her soul core had almost exploded, and Han Weiran's face was ghastly pale as she exclaimed, "The soul-assimilating drum. Big Brother Xiaoming, what level of treasure is this? Even my primordial spirit can't withstand it. This is a primordial spirit treasure that my clan once bestowed upon me. As long as your cultivation is high enough, the mind-assimilating drum can intimidate the Divine King's primordial spirit." Xiaoming's words made Han Weiran overjoyed. With this treasure in hand, what powerful enemy could stop her? "Haha, if it's really that little bastard Su Yin, I'll see how he can escape from my hands." Han Weiran was 10,000 times more confident. Was there any suspense in this battle? With the mind-assimilating drum in hand, it would definitely be a tragedy for cultivators of the same generation. Now, the time of the battle was getting closer and closer. There were already many cultivators watching the Great Tao battle platform. This was also the only place in the Great Tao city where martial arts were fought. The Divine King had once fought with his life on the Great Tao battle platform. Let's bet. Let's bet. There was also news. Great news. This time, the Great Tao auction house is the banker. What? The Great Tao auction house is the banker? What rules are there? The eyes of some of the elders gathered at the Great Tao battle platform lit up. They hurriedly asked. During the life-and-death battles on the Great Tao battle platform in the past, many large-scale events would be the banker. However, it was rare for the Great Tao auction house to be the banker. Ha! Now the odds are 1 to 10 if he wins. A loud voice exploded in the area, instantly causing a commotion. The odds were a little scary. If Su Yin won, the odds would be 1 to 10. Go to the Great Tao auction house and place your bet. The cultivators gathered at the Great Tao battle platform from all walks of life scattered. Actually, when the Great Tao auction house spread the news, many cultivators had already rushed over to place their bets. The people left behind were dumbfounded. The Great Tao auction? Why would a banker cause such a huge commotion? An old cultivator explained. Young people are still inexperienced. There used to be many large merchant associations that acted as the banker. However, after the life-and-death battle ended, a dark horse appeared, causing these merchant associations to lose so much that they didn't even have their underpants left. They disbanded on the spot. Many young people were dumbfounded. There was such a thing? They had never heard of such a thing. If everyone is betting on the mysterious person to win, if the mysterious person really wins, wouldn't the Great Tao auction house lose a lot of money? Young people, if you say you're inexperienced, then you're inexperienced. What a joke. What kind of status does the Han family have? Even the heavenly scripture has been taken out, and even Xiao Ming is secretly helping. Do you really think the mysterious person can win? An old man put on airs and lectured. That's true. If we bet on Han Weiran to win, how much money can we win? I have 500 kilograms of chaos material on me. If I bet on the mysterious person to win, wouldn't I make a lot of money? Of course, he was just thinking about it. After all, Xiao Ming was a peerless king who had never been defeated in his life. Han Weiran's chances of winning were too high. Even if the mysterious person's odds were scary, there were too few cultivators who bet on him to win. The mysterious person is said to be friends with the old Star Lord. Do you think he will win? It's hard to say. I also want to bet. How much chaos material do you have? I have more than 2,000 kilograms on me. Little Lion King and the others gathered together to discuss. They had gathered a lot of assets, a total of 8,000 kilograms of chaos material. They were prepared to bet all their money on the mysterious person to win. A gambling storm began with great grandeur. The gambling battle had yet to progress, but the Great Tao auction house was bustling with activity. The banker was none other than Divine King Kongbo. This caused a group of appraisers in the auction house to blow their beards and stare. Was King Kampa so sure that Su Yin would win? He was the one who suggested this. Although Su Yin had a powerful person by his side, it was hard to say what the result would be if Xiao Ming helped Han Weiran. King Kampa was also under great pressure. If he really lost, he would not be able to report back. However, a prehistoric big brother who used the 5-colored battle flag with his bare hands made King Kampa confident. Victory or defeat depended on this. If he really won the bet, he would become a famous tycoon in the Divine King realm. It was not rare to see gambling in the Great Tao city. There were many cultivators who came to bet, and the amount was getting bigger and bigger. King Kampa's mouth was dry. The final wealth of this bet was estimated to exceed 500 kilograms of chaos material. It might even be more frightening. As for Su Yan's place of seclusion in the quiet secret room, the sound of heartbeats kept exploding. It was like the beating of a divine drum, shaking heaven and earth. Su Yan seemed to have turned into a strange stone of heaven and earth. He was swallowing the essence of the sun and moon, the source of the universe, and the essence of hundreds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the medicine field. The accumulation of his self-sealed physical body was getting thicker and thicker. At the same time, the divine power of the great Tao that had been boiling in Su Yan's body for several days suddenly increased by a large amount on this day. Su Yan had broken through and stepped into the realm of peak-level deities. The energy source in his body also condensed together and turned into a chaotic eye. The eye of the ocean suddenly expanded. Su Yan's aura was also extremely terrifying and shocking. Even in the situation where he sealed his physical body, he was so heavy that he wanted to crush the stars in the sky. Even the divine power in Su Yan's body was about to pour out and penetrate the peak of the sky to prove the realm of the heavenly God. The Nine Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 967. What kind of manifestation was this? Su Yan was about to become a heavenly god. After all, his accumulation was too shocking. Moreover, the great Tao divine power in his body at the peak of the god spirit realm was not inferior to a heavenly god cultivator. When Su Yan stepped into the god spirit realm in the past, he had fused with the chaotic source Qi, which was known as the strongest substance in the origin Qi. When Su Yan stepped into the peak of the god spirit realm, a portion of the chaotic source Qi's potential was excavated. At this moment, Su Yan was powerful and shocking. His body shone like the condensed eye of the chaotic sea, filled with peerless power that could crush the universe. He could easily destroy a part of the space-time. Even the aura in Su Yan's body leaked out uncontrollably, overflowing with light. Boom! Divine power rose and fell behind Su Yan, one layer after another. 9 layers of great Tao divine power surged out, each layer stronger than the last, until the 9th layer was stretched out. This was the scene of waves crashing into the sky. Hold on! Su Yan roared in his heart. He had not reached the time for a breakthrough yet. Su Yan could still continue to nourish his body. When the nourishment reached a certain limit, Su Yan would then step into the heavenly God spirit realm. He wanted to use his body as the Tao and not use the great Tao of the universe to penetrate into the heavenly God spirit realm. If he broke through now, all his previous efforts would be wasted. Boom! Su Yan's aura swallowed the mountains and rivers. The eye of the chaotic sea in his body shone, forcefully suppressing the leaked energy into the sealed flesh shell. His body's aura was also infinitely stronger and more powerful. His body was emitting chaotic Qi, and his treasure body was emitting the supreme energy of the mother of all things. This was the effect of the chaotic source Qi. It merged with Su Yan and was filled with the power to control the chaos. The peak of the God spirit realm. Even if my body is sealed with the power of the chaotic source Qi, my combat strength is still strong enough. Su Yan's every move exuded a powerful deterrent force that could shake the sky. Previously, he was suspected to be a heavenly God spirit realm powerhouse with the power of his body. Now, he was relying on his potential to excavate a portion of the chaotic source Qi. Su Yan was more like a heavenly God spirit realm powerhouse. Then, he fell silent as well. Previously, when he was about to pierce through the sky, Su Yan had a kind of enlightenment, an understanding of the domain of the heavenly God realm. What was a heavenly God? From man to heaven. When one cultivated to this stage, one would be able to pierce through the heavens and become a part of the great Tao of the universe. Once one cultivated to this stage, one would be an expert among experts. One could easily suppress a part of the universe and use it for one's own use. Heavenly God realm, borrowing the energy of the universe to become a powerhouse among the heavenly gods. However, if I use the Tao of the physical body to open up a shortcut and walk the path of the heavenly God realm, I will be strengthening myself, becoming infinitely stronger. At that time, my potential in the heavenly God realm will also be strong enough. Su Yan thought to himself that the universe was ultimately incomplete and could not be compared to the prehistoric heaven and earth. Then, with the physical body as the Tao, he would be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the strongest in history. He might even be qualified to surpass the ancients and surpass himself. Now, he felt more and more that this path was feasible. Once he broke through, his future potential would be limitless. However, This path was also difficult. It was not something that could be crossed easily. No matter what, he had to face a series of great calamities. Su Yan's battle prowess had also improved greatly. His mouth and nose were breathing out primal chaos chi. Su Yan felt the power of the primal chaos chi in his body. He even had the mentality of swallowing the primal chaos in the sky and becoming the king of primal chaos. No wonder the origin chi is so valuable. The young overlords of the past all wanted to obtain the top-grade matter within the origin chi. This thing is really, the more potential it unearthed, the stronger its effect. The primal chaos chi is the most valuable matter within the origin chi. One day, I will release all of its potential. Su Yan stood up and pushed open the door of the secret room. The entire courtyard was filled with the fragrance of wine. Su Yan followed the smell and saw the prehistoric big brother drinking to his heart's content. Su Yan scratched his head and felt a little sorry for Bamboo Moon. Bamboo Moon, on the other hand, was grinning from ear to ear. Su Yan guessed that the prehistoric big brother might have imparted some secret technique to Bamboo Moon. You finally came out of seclusion. Bamboo Moon's eyes were overflowing with color. She glanced at Su Yan and reminded him, "This is the last day. It's almost time for the battle." What secret technique did Big Brother impart to you? Su Yan's expression was a little awkward. Last time he saw Bamboo Moon naked. She was definitely still angry. Hearing this, Bamboo Moon's eyes shone with joy. Clearly, the thing that the prehistoric Big Brother took out was not ordinary. Even in the sky bamboo lineage, this secret technique was enough to be considered the clan's greatest inheritance. Even the clan's greatest inheritance was not something that Bamboo Moon could easily obtain. Even if she could obtain the secret technique, it might not be suitable for Bamboo Moon. The secret technique that the prehistoric Big Brother imparted to Bamboo Moon was enough to unleash the power of her constitution to the extreme. Bamboo Moon felt that after refining the Star Moon fruit and cultivating in seclusion for a period of time, the Divine King's realm would not be difficult. Bamboo Moon was especially respectful to the prehistoric Big Brother. At the same time, she said to Su Yan, "Now is not the time to talk about this. How are your preparations?" "No problem," Su Yan said confidently. No matter how strong Xiaoming is, it's impossible for him to raise Han Weiron's combat ability to the Divine King's realm. Since the battle on the Great Dao battle platform is about to begin, I think we should hand over the human-shaped puppet to the Taoist Church. Su Yan coveted the Han family's Heavenly Momentum chapter. If he could successfully obtain this item, Su Yan was confident that he could raise the Qi Min's realm to the 7th-stage realm. Once he stepped into this realm, it would be completely different. The power of the Qi Min would increase exponentially. Generally speaking, 7th-stage Qi Min's realm was vast and powerful. They would be able to fight against the Divine King. It's good that you are confident. Although Bamboo Moon was a little worried, she was also confident in Su Yan. Moreover, he had cultivated the eyes of the universe. This was his true trump card, known as the strongest heavenly eye in history. Although he did not have any secret techniques to complement it, the eyes of the universe alone was enough to look down on his peers. After waiting for the prehistoric Big Brother to finish the last jar of wine, Su Yan and the others left the side courtyard. There were a few stewards waiting outside the side courtyard. They all had strange expressions on their faces. In about 10 days, they had practically eaten a mountain of primordial chaos. If it weren't for the discount Bamboo Moon enjoyed, their expenses in the heavenly abode would have been astronomical. Even the Divine King wouldn't be able to afford it. How much? Su Yan was shocked. A total of 15,000 kilograms of primordial chaos. Just how much wine had the prehistoric Big Brother drunk while he was in seclusion? However, to Bamboo Moon, no amount of money could compare to the secret techniques that the prehistoric Big Brother had passed on to her. Let's put on credit first. We'll go back to the family to get it. Bamboo Moon's words made Su Yan's expression change. How could this be put on credit? However, in the heavenly abode, only the experts of the heavenly bamboo lineage could do this. Bamboo Moon was not worried about the money for the wine. The five-colored war flag of the heavenly bamboo lineage was still in the prehistoric Big Brother's hands. Calculating the time, the experts of the heavenly bamboo lineage should be arriving soon. Although the clan was a hegemon in the chaos ruins to provoke an almighty, the heavenly bamboo lineage had not gone crazy. When the time came, they would really have to pay a certain price to bring the five-colored war flag back to the clan. Even Zhu Yu had the backing of a powerful being, so her status in the clan was even higher. In short, it was Zhu Yinsai's own fault. Attacking a powerful being? If the clan's elders found out about this, she would definitely suffer. Miss, take care. The steward of the heavenly abode was full of smiles as he respectfully sent them out. Just as they stepped out of the heavenly abode, Su Yan's expression turned cold. This was because a group of Han family disciples had gathered outside. Even Han Kong was among them. You're finally out. Han Kang's expression was gloomy. He walked up and said, It's almost time for the battle. The Han family's heavenly scripture has already been handed over to the experts of the Taoist temple. Where's your humanoid puppet? Don't tell me you're going to give up on the battle. The eunuch is more anxious than the emperor. Su Yan cast a sidelong glance at Han Kong and said coldly, You're worrying too much. You're about to die, yet you're still so arrogant. Han Kong immediately sneered. Kid, I'd like to see how many rounds you can last on the Great Dao battle stage. By the way, I'll tell you that I bet a total of 5,000 kilograms of chaos material at the Great Dao auction house. My Han family even bet 100,000 kilograms of chaos material that you'll definitely die. Hundreds of thousands of kilograms of primal chaos treasures was a huge gamble for a clan. Although they wouldn't win much, the Han family didn't mind stirring up a storm. This way, they could strengthen Han Weiron's reputation. Su Yan was stunned. They had actually started a bet. Come, let's go to the Great Dao auction house. Su Yan was also prepared to go and take a look. At the same time, he could also take a gamble. Who knows, he might even be able to make a huge profit. Although he did not have any more chaos material on him, Su Yan could use treasures as collateral. It's closed now, Bamboo Moon said telepathically. I've already bet 10,000 kilograms of chaos material for you. Only 10,000 kilograms? Su Yan was stunned. He said telepathically, Why didn't you bet more? If you win, you'll definitely make a fortune. I also bet 10,000 kilograms of chaos material. That's with treasures. Do you think 20,000 kilograms of chaos material is cabbage? Bamboo Moon snorted and said telepathically, Be content. If you win, you'll make 10 times the profit. But if you bet too much, the Great Dao auction house will adjust the odds accordingly. 1 to 10? Su Yan was speechless. This was crazy. If he really won, the wealth he would earn would be unimaginable. But to bet 10,000 kilograms of chaos material, he would be a rich man. Even if the Divine King gambled, 500 kilograms of chaos material would be his limit. If he lost, he lost. If he won, he would make a fortune. Of course, there were very few people who bet on Su Yan. Otherwise, there would not be a 1 to 10 payout. Boom! On the east street of the Great Dao City, the light of the Great Dao suddenly surged into the sky, illuminating the starry sky. It was as if a slumbering Great Dao dragon had awakened, releasing ancient fluctuations. The commotion was too spectacular. In the vast Great Dao City, everyone in the universe felt a terrifying pressure being released from the East Street. A majestic battle platform rose into the sky, releasing the light of the Great Dao. It was extremely brilliant. The battle platform has appeared. Why aren't you on it? Hong Kong and the others followed Su Yan closely, afraid that he would escape at the critical moment. They kept urging him, It's too late to admit defeat now. Chapter 968. Su Yan glared at Hong Kong. This kid was like a sticky plaster. He couldn't get rid of him. Under Su Yan's gaze, Han Kang's vision turned black. He staggered and almost fell to the ground. He felt his scalp split open and his primordial spirit sank into the boundless darkness. The process terrified him. Hong Kong, what's wrong? After an unknown amount of time, Hong Kong gradually recovered from the hopeless situation. His spirit seemed to have been injured. His face was pale as he said in horror, Quick, go and tell the family. This person has mastered a shocking technique. Even someone as strong as me couldn't guard against it and fell into it directly. What? Your mind was controlled just now? The young people of the Han family were shocked. Han Kang was also an outstanding young cultivator. However, even with Han Kang's combat strength, he couldn't withstand the might of Su Yan's gaze. His mind was about to sink into the purgatory of Qiankuan. However, it was too late now. Su Yan had already left for a while. He should have reached the Great Path battle platform by now. Cold sweat broke out on Han Kang's forehead. He had seriously underestimated this person's combat strength. If Han Weiran wasn't prepared enough, she would be in big trouble. The battle is finally about to start. Where is the mysterious person? The East Main Street was bustling with people. The battle that they had been waiting for finally began. The Great Path battle platform lay in the void, filled with an ancient aura. This battle platform was rarely opened. Once, the Divine King had died in battle. Young overlords had suffered grievances, and heavenly supremes had shed blood on the battle platform. In short, the Great Path battle platform of the Great Path City had drunk the blood of gods and demons. It had existed for many eras of the universe. This also caused the entire platform to emit a billowing, murderous aura. No one dared to approach it. This battle platform is probably 100,000 miles away. The strong cultivators watched. The Great Path battle platform contained the power of time and space. Originally, one could see the entire Great Path battle platform with a single glance. However, in the process of watching, one could only see a corner of the Great Path battle platform. The entire platform was filled with the light of the Great Path. However, it contained a murderous aura that intimidated people's souls. Boom! Suddenly, people saw a figure streak through the space. Because of the leakage of his own energy, the space collapsed. This figure pulled the broken space and penetrated onto the battle platform. Along the way, many cultivators trembled, the blood and chi within their bodies surging endlessly, all of their expressions horrified. They truly didn't feel like this was a heavenly deity, because the energy was a bit too majestic. What a Qiu Ming! The Iron Blood King had also come to watch the battle. He looked at the woman in the red dress standing on the battle platform, and a cold look flashed in his eyes. He could see through Han Weiran's situation. It was definitely Qiu Ming who had raised Han Weiran's combat ability. Otherwise, Han Weiran wouldn't be unable to control the energy in her body. However, the energy that leaked out was already vast enough, not to mention the fighting strength of Han Weiran's body. Han Weiran will win. She will win. The entire place was in an uproar. Many creatures who had bet on Han Weiran's victory were shouting loudly to boost her morale. Many of them had bet more than half of their wealth. There was even a Han family that had brought out 100,000 kilograms of primal chaos treasures to bet. The place was filled with a boiling cauldron of voices, surging with passion and momentum. I hope he really is Su Yan. The old grandmaster of the Han family was looking forward to it. He had been envious of the geography chapter for a long time. Han Weiran stood proudly on the battle platform. Everyone's attention made her feel especially proud. She raised her chin like a proud white swan and said coldly, "Nobody, hurry up and get on the platform." The people of the Han family were full of smiles, very satisfied with Han Weiran's performance. Today could be said to be the battle that made Han Weiran famous. Once this battle ended, Han Weiran's reputation among her peers would definitely skyrocket. "Nobody, why don't you show yourself?" Han Weiran frowned, full of majesty. She looked around and shouted, "It's too late to admit defeat now. Get on the platform and show yourself." "Little brother, what's the rush?" A chuckle came. "Isn't it good to let you show off your power and talent on the platform?" B****. Han Weiran's eyes instantly locked onto a young man who was walking towards her. She said angrily, "So this is your true face. Boy, get on the platform now." Su Yan looked at King Kampa and asked, "Did you bring the heavenly scripture?" The cultivators of the Han family sneered. He was about to die, but he still cared about the heavenly scripture. Moreover, even if Han Weiran really lost, he couldn't take the heavenly scripture away, unless he could ask a powerful cultivator to protect him. The heavenly scripture was the lifeblood of the Han family. They couldn't let the inheritance leak. King Kampa nodded at Su Yan. Although they couldn't fully verify it, the Han family's items were 99% authentic. Unless the Han family didn't want to live anymore and dared to deceive the Taoist temple. Su Yan also threw the human-shaped puppet out. King Kampa reached out and grabbed the human-shaped puppet. This process attracted the attention of many people who wanted to know what was so special about this thing. Buzz. Suddenly, an extremely resplendent pupil opened. Xiaoming suddenly appeared. His figure was faintly discernible in the void, and his eyes stared at the human-shaped puppet without blinking. He wanted to see through the puppet's authenticity. This scene made the divine King Hong Kong frown. Xiaoming, when the battle is over, the ownership of this item is still a problem. Hee, what's wrong with letting my big brother Xiaoming take a look now? It'll be mine sooner or later anyway. Han Weiran said disdainfully. Look at this kid, he's just a weakling. He's just a boy who delivers treasures. Little brother, don't be so arrogant. Su Yan shook his head and laughed. Don't cry when you lose later. You piece of trash, get up here. Han Weiran was furious. Her eyes widened, and her entire body rippled with thick heavenly god energy, causing the void to distort violently. The dormant energy in her body even shook the heavens. It was an extremely shocking scene. Even the heavenly gods of the same generation were shocked. It was as if they were really seeing a war god of the heavens. Under her fury, the sun and moon shook, and the heavens were about to collapse. Swoosh! Suddenly, everyone saw a shadow. It was completely in the time of lightning and fire. She charged towards the great path battle platform. Get down, I'll defeat you in one move. Han Weiran began to erupt once again. The divine energy in her body surged violently. It was an exceptionally ferocious scene. At this moment, Han Weiran didn't look like a heavenly god. She was like a king walking on the path of the divine king. Han Weiran's jade-like hand covered the sky. The back of her hand pushed open the heavens. Her palm was like a condensed sea of stars, gushing with brilliant light. When it slammed down in an instant, the void exploded. The huge palm covered the entrance of the great path battle platform. This palm was fast, accurate, and ruthless, causing all the cultivators present to cry out in surprise. No one thought that Han Weiran would be so strong. Some people already saw that the blurry figure on the platform was shattered into pieces. It seemed to have been smashed into a pile of ashes. This is too. Some cultivators were dumbfounded. This was too fast, wasn't it? Could it be that the victor had been decided in just one move? So fast. However, some old cultivators' expressions changed. They were stunned by Su Yan's thunderous movements. The moment Han Weiran swung her palm down, Su Yan had already stepped onto the great path battle platform. Who exactly is he? The Iron Blood King was suspicious. He had seen Su Yan in the tavern before. This person had boasted shamelessly that he was Su Yan. The Iron Blood King had never thought that the person who stepped onto the platform would be him. Su Yan's speed moved the Iron Blood King. This shrinking earth into an inch had really been cultivated to an extreme. Under this shrinking earth into an inch domain, Su Yan stepped onto the great path battle platform. Boom! Han Weiran was a little embarrassed and angry. She released all of her divine power, like a river bursting through a dam. Her own energy poured out and covered the entire great path battle platform. She also pushed the boundless source of energy towards Su Yan's thousands of layers of fury. I'm a starry sky, Han Weiran shouted, and the scene she created was shocking. It was as if a real starry sky was born, giving birth to the sun, the moon, the stars, and the universe. It even gave birth to the momentum of the heavens, causing the entire great path battle platform to turn into a giant purgatory space. It was as if a condensed starry sky world was blooming. The Han family's ultimate technique, the power of the heavenly momentum chapter of the Way of the Strange Gate. Han Weiran is strong enough. If combined with the power of the Strange Gate secret technique, she will reach a higher level. She must not be underestimated. Many people discussed animatedly. They had a certain level of confidence in Han Weiran. Now, the ultimate technique of the Strange Gate secret technique bloomed on the Great Path battle platform. Han Weiran used her own power to evolve the momentum of the heavens, wanting to forcibly suppress Su Yin. Be suppressed. The divine power all over the sky combined together. The divine power was torrential, and the energy storm that approached the king's domain began to sweep towards Su Yin at an astonishing speed. What amazing energy! Han Weiran's foundation is too strong. It's beyond my understanding. Who can withstand such fierce energy suppression? Moreover, with the momentum of the heavens, how many cultivators of the same generation can withstand it? This person is in for a bad time. The storm of divine power all over the sky, like thunder, bombarded the figures standing on the platform. Han Weiran had a mentality. She wanted to suppress Su Yin directly. She wanted to make him submit to her peerless mentality. Buzz. The energy was vast. Everything became blurry and shattered in the trembling. In fact, from the beginning of the battle, Su Yin appeared to be extremely mysterious. Amidst the apocalyptic starry sky world, his figure was hazy and indistinct, seeming somewhat unreal. Some people saw him disappear, while others felt that he had shattered. All of this was because Su Yan's speed was too fast. His afterimage was left behind in the void. His speed was so fast that even the experts of the older generation could not catch his tracks. This caused them to be shocked. Boom! Su Yan's self-sealed physical body was hazy with chaotic energy. His body was too heavy. When he moved, the Great Path battle platform emitted a deafening roar. Facing the overwhelming divine power source, Su Yin swooped down just like that. His physical body soared with chaotic light. Su Yan's aura skyrocketed. His figure was like a halberd that cut through the battlefield, bright and dazzling. Boom! The surging divine power that filled the sky was penetrated by the dazzling light. It was blown apart by the peerless power. How valiant was Su Yin! When his battle blood boiled, strange phenomena appeared. He seemed to be standing at the top of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. With a torrential, murderous aura, he struck to the end of the earth. Chapter 969. What a shocking, killing intent. The Iron Blood King was moved again. He had fought his way out of difficult situations since he was young. But now, a figure had appeared on the Great Tao battle platform. It was as if he was standing on top of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. This was a ruthless person who had fought his way out of a life and death situation. Just the spiritual will he released, that kind of invincible self-confidence, was enough to shock Han Weiran until her spirit was distorted. This wasn't a secret technique, but a deterrent force that originated from Su Yin himself. Han Weiran felt as if she was in the middle of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. In this world of blood, she felt like she was going to be devoured and buried in a demon's den. The strong cultivators of the older generation were all moved. This was a ruthless person, not a soft persimmon. He had cultivated an invincible belief and fought his whole life. It must be him. It must be this evil creature. At this moment, the old Grandmaster of the Han family was almost certain that he was Su Yin. Just this ferocious aura alone wasn't something an ordinary person could produce. Only those who had experienced life and death situations could develop such a demonic aura. Buzz! A great Tao crystal around Han Weiran's neck suddenly lit up. The sound of Tao inside was like a condensed Xiao Ming sitting cross-legged in it, chanting the scriptures of the great Tao. It cleansed Han Weiran of the ferocious aura that had invaded her spiritual sea, allowing her to walk out of the spiritual shock. Damn it! The scene in front of her eyes became clear again. The mountain of corpses and the sea of blood shattered. Han Weiran's expression changed. She was actually frightened. If this spread out, she would be laughed at. Fortunately, Xiao Ming had given her a great Tao crystal that helped her resolve the spiritual shock. If it wasn't for the timely reminder, the consequences would be unimaginable. Once she fell, the Han family couldn't afford to lose face like this. Even now, Su Yin was infinitely close to Han Weiran. Billowing killing intent swept over. Whoosh! Han Weiran suddenly raised her hand. Her entire arm was sparkling and translucent like jade. Her entire arm returned to nothingness, but the faint energy fluctuations that seeped out filled the vast Great Path battle platform with an invisible field, accompanied by a shocking sense of oppression. Sky lifting hand. The expressions of all the experts changed. This was the Han family's ultimate technique, the heavens raising hand. Once this great mystique was unleashed, one could control the universe. It was worthy of being called a peak technique of the celestial god realm. When it erupted, the space of the great Tao battle platform seemed to have transformed into a blurry giant palm, emitting a source of energy that could destroy the world. "I'll send you to hell," Han Weiran sneered. She discovered that the amount of energy Su Yin had accumulated was not very high. He should have just stepped into the heavenly god realm. However, there was an entire 8 minor realms between them. Could she really suppress Su Yin with brute force? Rumble. It was a scene of heaven and earth collapsing. The skyscraping hand gathered the power of the great law battle platform and wanted to settle the situation with one palm. This was a divine ability that could overturn rivers and seas. The energy fluctuations that spread out made the heavenly gods outside the battlefield tremble. How vast was this divine energy source? It was so powerful that it was boundless. She, Han Weiran, was already so powerful. So when Zhu Tian and the others stepped into the peak of the heavenly god realm, just how much energy would they be able to nurture? "Your mouth really stinks. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Han Weiran spoke arrogantly again and again, completely infuriating Su Yin. Boom! He rose from the ground like lightning, and his aura spread out, causing the stars in the sky to tremble. It was hard to imagine just how heavy Su Yan's aura was. It could ignore the skyscraping hand's domain. How can it be so heavy? What did he do? The energy has undergone a qualitative change. It's ridiculously heavy. What kind of ultimate technique is this? It's hard to say. His strength is actually able to suppress the stars in the sky. It's really inconceivable, and this is still in a state of accumulation. Even an existence like the Iron Blood King, with his strength, could not compare. It was very easy for him to cause a commotion like Su Yin. However, Su Yan's cultivation level was clearly not high enough. However, the energy fluctuations that he was leaking now actually caused the stars in the sky to tremble. Just how heavy was the energy domain he had condensed? This was the effect of the primal chaos origin chi. Although only a portion of the divine might was excavated, this strongest substance in history was already shocking enough. How could it be as simple as it was said to be? If it really erupted, it would be enough to shock the world. Buzz. Su Yan's figure blazed with radiance. His body transformed into the eye of the primal chaos sea. There were millions of great Daos inside, and the primal chaos seemed to contain a universe of great Daos. It emitted a monstrous divine might of the great Tao. Su Yan finally released his strongest divine power, and his aura directly went berserk. Boom! A resplendent comet rose from the ground, tearing the sky apart and shattering the stars in the universe. The scene was spectacular to the extreme. This was the extremely heavy power that was stored in the eye of the Chaos Sea. It rose from the ground like a monstrous meteor shower that shot into the 9 heavens, creating a shocking scene. Moreover, the power of thousands of Daos was manifested, transforming into a heaven-piercing halberd that could strike the world and cleaved forward. Under the incredulous eyes of many present, the hand that held up the sky shattered. It was penetrated by Su Yan's figure and split into 2. His entire body even pulled a violent energy tornado. The great Tao rippled like the sea, and all kinds of strange phenomena filled the sky. It was as though a wall of great Tao had been formed, and in an instant, it charged straight at Han Weiran. Be careful! The old grandmaster of the Han family was furious. How did Su Yin suddenly become so strong? Regarding the matter of him controlling the primal chaos origin chi, no one except Zhu Tian knew. Since a portion of the divine might had been excavated, it was enough to display a portion of the king of chaos effects. Swish, swish. Han Weiran anxiously released the strongest energy in her body in an attempt to resist. However, even with the vast amount of energy, it was still shattered and trembled in the face of the violent force that could cleave all energy and matter. This place was completely berserk. Su Yan's energy and Han Weiran's energy collided, causing a deafening explosion. Ah! Han Weiran let out a blood-curdling scream. She coughed out a mouthful of blood from the impact of the energy storm. Her figure was like a kite with a broken string as she was sent flying. Not good. Everyone was aghast. How could such a ridiculous thing happen? Han Weiran's divine power clearly surpassed Su Yan's by several levels. But how could Han Weiran be defeated? The Iron Blood King couldn't understand. No matter how strong Su Yan was, the essence of divine power couldn't be changed. She, Han Weiran, wasn't weak, but how could Su Yan send this woman flying in such a tyrannical manner? Only Qiu Ming's face turned gloomy. That was because Qiu Ming also controlled the primal chaos origin Qi, and he understood the effects of his treasure very well. He really didn't expect Su Yan to control the primal chaos origin Qi. With the help of such a rare item, it would be difficult for him, Su Yan, not to grow in the future. This kid can't be left alive. Qiu Ming's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Han Weiran hadn't been defeated yet. Once the assimilating god drum was used, Su Yan would definitely die. After all, that thing, when used to a certain extent, could intimidate the primordial spirit of the divine king, let alone Su Yan, who had just stepped into the divine realm. Heavens, what is he trying to do? Is he crazy? The whole place was in an uproar. Many people felt their scalps go numb and their legs go weak. They were frightened by Su Yan's actions. The scene on the great Dao battle platform exceeded the expectations of all the cultivators. That mysterious person descended from the sky like a demon god descending upon the world. His hair danced wildly, and his entire body rippled with murderous intent. Could it be that this person wanted to kill Han Weiran directly? The result shocked them. This person was really going to kill. His entire body released a terrifying light as he descended from the sky. He raised his foot and ruthlessly stomped on Han Weiran, who was coughing up blood. This stomp was as heavy as the abyss and filled with the domineering aura of a demon god. This lunatic wants to stomp Han Weiran to death. Everyone was frightened by Su Yan's actions. Han Weiran was Qiu Ming's woman. Although it was not proven, with her relationship with Qiu Ming, who would dare to kill Han Weiran? But now a lunatic had come to the great Dao city and wanted to stomp Han Weiran to death. King Kampa was dumbfounded. Su Yan, who had a powerful elder brother, was so fierce. Once he stomped Han Weiran to death, the grudge between the two was destined to be irreconcilable. You bastard! Facing the golden foot descending from the sky, Han Weiran was about to go crazy. She had never suffered such great humiliation. Never. Boom! Suddenly, shocking waves surged from behind Han Weiran. A huge seal soared into the sky, spewing out the sun, moon, and stars. The seal of sun, moon, river, and mountain was released. The sun, moon, and stars in the sky revolve around the seal and blasted towards Su Yan. Boom! A deafening explosion shook the entire place. The figure that descended from the sky was extremely domineering. His feet stomped on the seal. Su Yan's body steamed with chaotic light, as if he was going to crush the heavens. The divine king was stunned. How did Su Yan do it? He suppressed the seal of sun, moon, river, and mountain with his divine power alone. It was true that it was divine power, but it was the concentrated chaotic the power of the chaotic origin Qi. This energy was heavier than a universe star. It temporarily suppressed the seal of sun, moon, river, and mountain, making Su Yan terrifying beyond compare. Suppress. Su Yan roared. His divine power boiled and weighed billions of kilograms. This was simply a king stepping on the sun, moon, river, and mountain to descend to the mortal realm and reign over the world. Han Weiran was terrified. Facing Su Yan's great power, she felt that she was going to be crushed into meat paste. Go to hell. Han Weiran's face was so malevolent that it almost twisted. When had she ever experienced such humiliation? Her glabella instantly glowed, and an earthy yellow leather drum rolled out. The moment this ancient object appeared, it gave Su Yan a certain amount of shock. Su Yan's long black hair draped over his shoulders. He was like a supreme being standing above the sun, moon, river, and mountain. He was like a supreme king overlooking the world. His deep eyes were like the grand ancient universe world, releasing a mysterious light. "Give it to me," Su Yan shouted. The radiance released by his eyes was reflected in Han Weiran's eyes. It was as if the vast ancient universe world had bloomed, causing Han Weiran to sink into it. At this moment, Han Weiran was like a walking corpse. She walked over step by step and held the god-assimilating drum with both hands, presenting it to Su Yan. "One more at night? Damn it. Writing is as tiring as a dog. Saving drafts is cleaner than my face." This book came from Chapter 970. All the cultivators present were dumbfounded. One by one, they were flabbergasted. Even the divine king of the older generation rubbed his eyes, thinking that his eyes were playing tricks on him. How could such a ridiculous thing happen? He had never heard of such a thing before. "Scoundrel, Han Weiran, what are you doing, ah?" The old grandmaster of the Han family was trembling with anger. He pointed a finger at Han Weiran. He was about to explode from anger because of Han Weiran's actions. No one knew what kind of evil thing was happening. Han Weiran couldn't have turned traitor, right? Now, they saw Han Weiran holding an ancient object in her hands and presenting it to Su Yan. She looked like Su Yan's female slave, and her attitude was extremely docile. Very few people noticed that Su Yan's pupils were seething with a strange sheen, and it faintly seemed like numerous complete grand Daos of the world were interweaved and bloomed within his pupils, causing it to be so terrifying that it really seemed as if the world of the ages was floating and glowing within his eyes. Su Yan's eyes were like the complete great Tao of heaven and earth. The two great Tao of heaven and earth were so deep, vast, grand, and magnificent that they couldn't be traced back to their source. Is this Han Weiran's trump card? Bamboo Moon thought to herself. Since this drum appeared at this time, it definitely wasn't simple. However, Su Yan directly used the eye of heaven and earth at the critical moment to lock on a Han Weiran's mind and make her present the drum to Su Yan. In fact, Bamboo Moon wasn't surprised. Firstly, Han Weiran was the most noble daughter of the Han family. Coupled with her relationship with Xiao Ming, the Han family was reluctant to let Han Weiran go on adventures and gain experience. After all, they were worried that something would happen to Han Weiran. This also caused Han Weiran to experience very few battles. She had to fight against Su Yan, who had killed his way out of countless desperate situations. Even if Han Weiran's combat strength surpassed Su Yan's, she still wouldn't be his match. Also, the Eye of Heaven and Earth was extremely powerful. Cultivators with weak willpower wouldn't be able to withstand the Eye of Heaven and Earth's intimidation. Only existences like the Iron Blood King could barely resist the Eye of Heaven and Earth. Of course, with Su Yan's current cultivation, the Eye of Heaven and Earth wouldn't be able to threaten the Divine King. However, once he was strong enough, the Eye of Heaven and Earth would be terrifying enough. What is she doing? Han Kong was about to go crazy. He quickly figured it out. It was definitely Su Yan's eye technique that affected Han Weiran. This was driving Han Kong crazy. Once Han Weiran lost, the Han family would have to face 3 bloody blows from Su Yan. Their grand superpower, the ancestor of the occult sect, had actually lost to Su Yan consecutively. This kind of humiliation was unbearable for the Han family. They all had the feeling of skinning Han Weiran alive. Humph! A cold voice exploded, accompanied by a vast divine aura. The brilliance was dazzling to the extreme. In the great Tao city, an ancient sun suddenly rose. It burned fiercely and surged with a monstrous light, causing the vast sky to tremble. Shocking energy ripples spread out, causing the cultivators in the field to tremble. Even the peak heavenly god experts were trembling with fear. Even the Iron Blood King's hair stood on end. He felt that a supreme existence had awakened here and was looking down on the world. This made the Iron Blood King panic, and a chill gushed out from his heart. What did Xiaoming? The Iron Blood King stared at the awakened figure. At this moment, Xiaoming's divine aura shook the heavens. He was fully deserving of the title of a supreme king. The divine king experts gathered here were all shocked. The foundation he had accumulated was truly frightening. In particular, this cold snort shook the heavens and the earth, transmitting to the great Tao battle platform. Humph! King Kampa also snorted coldly. This Xiaoming was really arrogant. Did he think that the great Tao battle platform could be shaken at will? This was a battle platform that had been strengthened by the power of a mighty figure. The divine king alone couldn't affect this battle. As expected, the great Tao battle platform shone on its own. It was solemn and serene, isolating Xiaoming's sound waves. Xiaoming's expression was cold. Humiliating Han Weiran was the same as humiliating him. Although Xiaoming and Han Weiran didn't have a real relationship in name, everyone knew about their relationship. Xiaoming's aura became even stronger. All the pores on his body spewed out endless divine light. His aura skyrocketed, shaking the surrounding onlookers so much that their blood was churning. They were about to fall to the ground. Enough! King Kampa scolded angrily. Xiaoming, you dare to disrupt the battle on the great Tao battle platform. You are an enemy of the entire Tao Church. This voice was powerful enough to intimidate Xiaoming, making him furious. However, he really didn't dare to make a move. Once he broke the rules, it would be equivalent to disrespecting the Tao Church. If word got out, it would be a blow to his reputation. Seems like she's about to wake up. At this moment, the great Tao crystal on Han Weiran's neck shone. It lit up a divine lamp for Han Weiran, who was lost in the void, and illuminated the darkness. Han Weiran's dull eyes began to clear. She struggled, showing signs of coming back to her senses. Even the power of the primordial spirit between her eyebrows began to gather, wanting to strike the soul-assimilating drum. What are you waiting for? Su Yin emitted a thunderous voice. His figure stood tall, and his aura soared into the sky. His deep eyes faintly turned golden. His eyes were filled with a terrifying aura. It was as if two great ancient Qian Kuan worlds were shaking. It gave Han Weiran the shock of the universe's end. She was about to crawl before Su Yin and tremble. What a terrifying pair of eyes. In the field, the Divine King's expression changed again and again. What kind of technique was this? They had never heard of it. The Qian Kuan I was too ancient. There were many eye techniques in the world. Even old monsters found it difficult to see through Su Yan's eye technique. In short, under the reflection of the golden eyes, Han Weiran fell into a daze once again. She held the leather drum with both hands and presented it to Su Yan. Wow! The whole field was in an uproar. They couldn't believe it. Even the Divine King felt that it was very difficult. It was too difficult to control a celestial god with just eye techniques. Of course, the reason why Su Yin succeeded was because Han Weiran was inexperienced and hadn't experienced many battles. Otherwise, how could he easily control a celestial god with just the Qian Kuan eye? When Su Yan's palm grabbed the leather drum, Han Weiran struggled violently. Her most important treasure was snatched away, causing Han Weiran to instantly become clear-headed. She immediately let out a sharp cry. "You little bastard, you tricked me." Bastard. Su Yan was furious. He released the power of dragon and tiger, shaking the world. However, Han Weiran, who was in a frenzied state, erupted with her strongest power. She took out the Sun Moon River Mountain seal and attacked Su Yan. Dong! However, Su Yan's primordial spirit directly recovered and bombarded the leather drum with the power of his primordial spirit. The earthy yellow leather drum beat. The sound sounded calm, but when it reached Han Weiran's sea of consciousness, the sky collapsed and the earth sank. Ghosts cried and gods howled. Her sea of consciousness was about to be torn apart. Ah! Han Weiran screamed miserably and held her head in pain. This scene stunned Su Yin. He was even shocked. What kind of treasure was this? How could it have such strong destructive power? Although his primordial spirit was infinitely close to the divine king's domain, the power of the mind-assimilating drum was enough to threaten his primordial spirit. That leather drum seems to be Qiu Ming's most precious treasure. Someone suddenly spoke. He recognized the origin of the ancient leather drum. This was the mind-assimilating drum, an extremely precious ancient treasure. If the primordial spirit of the caster was strong enough to intimidate the divine king's primordial spirit, this item was too expensive. If it was really used in an auction, its value would definitely be much higher than that of the humanoid puppet. After all, if this mind-assimilating drum fell into the hands of the King Kampa, then the King Kampa would definitely become a fierce god in the divine king's realm. Therefore, the mind-assimilating drum was extremely valuable. Moreover, one might not be able to buy it even if they had the money. Oh my god, the mind-assimilating drum. Qiu Ming's most precious treasure, the mind-assimilating drum. The whole place was in an uproar. This was an incredible and rare treasure that specialized in restraining one's primordial spirit. Once it fell into the hands of the divine king could completely rely on the mind-assimilating drum to become a top king in the divine king's realm that could not be provoked. The Iron Blood King was speechless. The mind-assimilating drum had fallen into the hands of Su Yin just like that. This was too funny. As for Qiu Ming's face, it was so ferocious that it was faintly distorted. How could he not feel heartache after losing such a precious treasure? Yet, it had landed in Su Yan's hands. This was an extraordinary humiliation. Ha ha ha! Su Yan laughed continuously on the Great Tao battle platform. He only felt carefree and unrestrained. He had been targeted by Qiu Ming. Once, he had used the seismic scroll to almost kill Su Yan. Now, he had taken out the mind-assimilating drum and given it to Han Weiran to deal with him. The difference in the outcome was too great. Before the mind-assimilating drum's power could be used, it had already been obtained by Su Yan. Damn it! The group of cultivators from the Han family went crazy with anger. They did not care about any treasure at all. What the Han family cared about was the inheritance of the Heavenly Force chapter. If the treasure was lost, they could find another one. However, the Heavenly Force chapter was the ultimate technique that their ancestors had been proud of for generations. Once Su Yan obtained it, then a young 7th grade grandmaster would soon be born. She lost. At this time, the cultivators who had recovered from the shock of this battle were so angry that they were about to vomit blood. They had spent a huge amount of money to bet on Han Weiran's victory, but in the end, Han Weiran had suffered a crushing defeat. Many people wanted to die. What the hell was this? As for King Kampa, he was holding back his laughter. He had profited greatly. He had bet a total of 35,000 kilograms of primordial chaos material on Su Yan. In addition, there were very few people who had bet on Su Yan. If the casino lost all the money, the remaining money would be enough for King Kampa to make a huge profit. Of course, the commission of the bet was also frightening. However, this commission had nothing to do with King Kampa. It was the profit of the Great Tao auction house. The Han family's faces turned green. They were really anxious. What should they do now? You beast! Han Weiran pointed at Su Yan, her whole body trembling. She could not bear this kind of humiliation. How could she lose? How could she be so shocked by Su Yan that she lost her self-awareness? This bitch! Han Weiran's repeated curses angered Bamboo Moon. She clenched her slender hands and gritted her teeth in anger. Su Yan's expression was a little cold. He looked at Han Weiran and then said to King Kampa, "Experts from the Tao Temple, the outcome of this battle has been decided. This woman can be considered my spoils of war, right?" The Iron Blood King was having a headache. This lunatic, did he know that Qiu Ming was also entrenched here? Did this guy really want to hide in the Great Tao City for the rest of his life and not come out? He did not know what kind of terrible disaster would happen if he angered Qiu Ming. He had a life-forbidden zone behind him. Once he forced a mighty person to come out and denounce him, Su Yan would be in big trouble.